Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. I'm just a question asker. My name is Raheem Aljamain out of Atlanta, Georgia. Getting almost everything set up this morning. I know y'all surprised. I know y'all surprised. We're early this morning. And I know you're surprised. I'm surprised myself. My grandson called me this morning, and he wanted to talk to me early this morning. So I had to get up and talk to him. And that's one of the things I want to talk to y'all about. Truth of the matter. You never know. You never really know. And I don't think we take the time to recognize and realize how important. I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine a couple of days ago about this very issue. But a lot of times we don't know. And we have a guest that's going to be on with us, hopefully at 8:30 today as well. She's going to talk to us about some life situations that we can help and improve on. But that's. I just wanted to put that out there just so you know that we will have a guest today around 8:30. I'm looking at around 8:30. But back to what I'm talking about. You never know how important you are. How important you are to other individuals sometimes. You never know how important you are to other individuals and what you mean to them.
Frank.
You never know how important you are to other individuals and what you mean to them. And you have always got to be real mindful. You always have to be very mindful as to how you present yourself because you never know who's watching you and who's watching you, who's looking at you, who looks up to you. And you don't and from where I'm sitting, you really don't want to be the source of someone's downfall because they look up to you. Now, you don't want them to put you on a pedestal or anything like that because at the end of the day, yes, we are human. But at the same time, we do have responsibilities and we have responsibilities to each other. I say that because I said this morning, um, I have I have four grandkids, one on the way, one should be here hopefully by Sunday. My fifth grandchild, which is a grandson, will be here Sunday. I know that my grandkids are God's opportunity for me to get right what I did with my daughters. I wasn't always, the best. I didn't always do the best, but He gave me another opportunity with my grandkids. I have two grandsons, two granddaughters, and as I said, one on the way. And I'm telling you all that to say this right here. I know because I pay attention a lot of time. I'm looking around, I'm paying attention, I'm watching certain things, and I'm always the wife tell me, why you always paying, why you always watching everything? Because you have to. And I know that my grandkids, especially my grandsons, they look up to me a lot, a whole lot, and to the point where when they get an opportunity even to tune into the broadcast. One day, my grandson called me after the broadcast, and they was having virtual learning that day, so he wasn't at school, and so he was able to listen in. And some things happened on the show, and he called. He said, you can call me Paul." He said, Paul, are you okay? Are you okay?" I said, I didn't know he watched. I like, yeah, what's wrong? He said, I know that, you got a little upset and blase, and I don't like when you get upset. And I was like, bing, they like it, bing. He was watching the show. He was watching the podcast this morning. And I took that as a teachable moment. And Frank, I'm going to come to you, brother. I know you're there. I took that as a teachable moment to explain to him some things happening. Some people try to push my buttons in a certain way. And I said, well, listen. I said, what you need to understand. I said, what you need to understand is you have to be in control of yourself. Don't let nobody control you. I said, if you let somebody else control you, your actions, your emotions and stuff like that, then you relinquish your. I say relinquish. I had to go back and read back. I know there was a pretty big word, for him. He's kindergarten, And so I had to go back and fix that word. I said you have to be in control of yourself and don't let nobody control you, because if you let somebody else control you, then they are controlling you. I say, you don't have to get mad, just be in control of you. Always be in charge of yourself, okay? And don't let nobody, because you got things that you have to do and people that watching and stuff like that. So be in control of yourself. I use that as a teachable moment. But at the same time, I knew that he was watching. And had I went off, started, talking outside of myself and using all kind of language that he's never heard me use before, and got angry and started yelling and fussing and cussing and all kind of stuff, that would have impacted him. Like, oh my God, people. So Frank, what I'm saying to you, we got somebody else on the line as well. But Frank, what I'm saying to you is this: we have to understand that people are watching us. Sometimes they look up to us, and we can't be the source of their downfall. Frank, good morning to you. And what do you say to that?
Hey, good morning, Raheem.
Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you
Hey, doing
and
good.
everybody else?
Hey, doing good, doing good.
Um, you know, over the history of me calling in, it's it's so many things that we can't control.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been so many times on this broadcast, just on this broadcast,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't control a whole lot. But there's so many times where total strangers have called in, and uh, the young lady in Texas
Yes.
that was homeless,
Mm-hmm.
that was on the verge of suicide. There was
Mm-hmm.
young people that said if y'all wouldn't taken this call, I was gonna walk out in traffic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But one thing in particular that I can remember is that we were resetting this store, and man, it was a whole lot of work. And I had this young lady. She made a great sacrifice from her family, and she reset the entire frozen food section.
Mm.
Did a wonderful job, man. She worked midnights every night. She was there, and it was a whole lot of work, because by the time you walk into a grocery store, when you look at who's ever vegetables at eye level, they paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
They paid for it to be right there, and they come
Yeah.
in and they look to see that their product is where they're paying this money for it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are way down at the bottom, they didn't pay nothing. So, you got to stumble across their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked in the next morning and I said, man, you did a real good job. And she said, thank you, Mr. Logan. And my supervisor came in the next day, and he was walking by, and he said, and this is all wrong. I said, what are you talking about? He said, this reset is wrong. And I said, well, we reset it to the diagram you gave me. He said, go get the diagram. I went and got the diagram. He said, man, I'm sorry. This was the diagram for last year. I
Wow.
gave you the old.
Wow.
So the young lady, when she came to work, I said, I am so, so sorry. The diagram that I gave you to reset this, it was like 30 cases, those
Mm-hmm.
big, tall glass stand-up cases.
Mm.
I said that the diagram that I gave you, it was wrong. We got to redo this.
Mm.
Raheem, this lady cussed me out, man. I mean, called me any and everything that you could ever call anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People everywhere, co-workers, everything. So, I mean, I'm very careful with women because I have a wife, I have daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really go back at women like that because even, I just don't do it. So I walked to my office. I was like, oh, I'm firing her. I pulled her file, and then I did the self-righteous thing. I said, okay, before I fire her, let me pray.
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard God clearly. He said, um, apologize to her.
Yeah.
I was like, ain't no way in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I went home and pulled up more stuff on her. I said, I'm gonna fire her in the morning. When I got back to work, God said, okay, since you were disobedient, I want you to apologize to her, but I want you to apologize to her in front of her coworkers that she cussed you out in front of. I was like, oh my God. So I went down there. I saw them all in a little crowd talking about what happened. I went down there and I said, hey, I'm really sorry about what happened. You know what she said, Raheem?
What's that?
Yeah, you sorry, all right.
Mm.
And I walked away and I got to my office and this young lady stopped me and she said, Mr. Logan. Now I'm irritated.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't have any patience at that point. And she said, Mr. Logan. I was like, yes. And I wanted to say, what? But I said, yes. She said, Mr. Logan, are you saved? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. She said, where's your church? And I told her, that girl came to my church the following Sunday. The Sunday after that, she brought her whole family.
Yes.
And they all gave their lives to God. Now, if I would have responded the way my flesh wanted me to respond, that moment doesn't happen. So she was looking at what happened to me had to happen in order for her to see something that was different.
Wow. And see, and that goes right back. That's a powerful story, brother. Powerful story, man. And that goes right back to what I was saying earlier, man. You never know who's watching you. Because had you, like you said, went off the deep end. And some people would say you had the right to do it. Some people would say that you have the right or had the right to go back off on a young lady because the way that she was coming at you. Some people would say that. I don't fall within that mindset, but that's what some people would say. But had you done that, think of all the people that would have missed the opportunity to be saved because God used you in a certain way. He humbled you and controlled your tongue and controlled your emotions to the fact that, you absorbed it. You absorbed it, went back and apologized, and still didn't get the result that you was looking for when you went back and apologized. You didn't get the result that you was looking for. That wasn't the result that you wanted. Her to come back and say, yeah, you sorry. That's not what you wanted. You was looking for something different. But because of the fact that you didn't find what you was looking for, even at that point, you found your way to your office, and on the way there, that's when God said, listen. God said, okay. Thank you. You did it. Now, watch this. Sometimes we just got to watch God work, man. Sometimes we got to watch him work, take ourselves out of the equation. We're not, and when I say we, I'm definitely talking about me when I say this. But we're not as important as we think we are. But we are very important.
And you know what else, Raheem? On the total flip side of that, because we all have praise reports. But I remember when I stumbled into a place where everybody there was blind. And God told me to pray for this man's sight. And I prayed for him, and I didn't pray for his sight because of I didn't believe.
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't. I felt that. Okay, I pray for his sight, nothing happens, then I fail. It's not about me. God demanded me in that moment. And I walked away and the man was like, thank you, young man, for praying for me. When I got outside that building and I didn't do what God told me to do, the Holy Ghost screamed at me. He said, you coward.
Wow.
Don't you ever. So when we say you never know who's watching us, guess who else is watching us?
Come on. Yes, sir. Wow. Let me go to Stanley. Stanley, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good, brother. How are you this morning?
Hey, doing good. Stanley, we're talking about we never know who's watching us, man, and the impact that we can have on individuals. I don't know you heard the story I told about my grandson, how he was watching the broadcast one morning, and some things happened on the broadcast, and I could have went a certain way, but I didn't. I stayed calm, made through the situation, and dealt with it accordingly. But he called me after the broadcast was over and say, People, are you okay? He had he's actually in school in kindergarten, but they had virtual learning that day, so he was at home, so he was actually able to watch the broadcast. And I used that as a teachable moment to tell him how you have to always be in control of yourself. But had I, because he's always watching me, and I have to be very mindful of how I act, react, interact, and different things like that while he's around, because he's always watching me. And my daughter said, he watching, and he'll pattern certain things, of what I do. He called me this morning. That's why I'm up early, man. He called me this morning, just wanted to talk before he went to school. And so, we never know the impact. Stellan, we never know the impact that we have on other people's lives, how they look up to us and stuff like that, and how, they pattern certain things in their life after what they see us do. Do we even understand that?
Well, especially with children, because children live the life they learn.
Yeah.
Whatever they see you do, they're going to copy that, especially like the father, the grandfather, uncles, whoever they're around, they're going to mimic that behavior. So we have to really be careful, in what we do and what we say and how we act to certain react to certain events that's going on. So, because I'll give you a prime example. People, like we were saying earlier, people watch you. You never know who's watching you, and you never know why they're watching you. And like the position I'm in now, I had no idea that they was watching me for almost a year. I'm just doing my job. Coming to church, visiting different churches, making sure everything was all right before I, even elevated. So when the new bishop came in, I got a call saying, "Hey, we need you to be in Savannah, Georgia, Tuesday, 2:00." I'm like, "Man, I've got revival up here, and I got to do this." They said, "It won't take long, but you need to have a meeting with the bishop 2:00 Tuesday afternoon. You still be back in time for your revival. It's like a 3-hour drive, blah, blah, blah." It's okay. So I go to Savannah, and on my way down there, the guy calls me, "Hey, this is what's really going on. The bishop seeks to put you in a position for state coordinator for the Sons of Island, so you'll be over 500 churches and blah, blah, blah." I'm like, wow. Had no idea. Wasn't politicking, wasn't looking forward, wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But like the guy told me, "Man," he said, "I've been watching you because I knew I needed a replacement." And he said, "I've been all over the state of Georgia, and you're the man for the job." He said, "I know you can elevate this thing to another, take it to another height." So if I had not been doing what I was called to do, I would never have gotten the promotion. So you never know who's watching you. You never know why they're watching you, man. So I try to carry myself in a way that, my grandkids and my kids and my wife and everybody will be proud of me. And I always want people to think of me highly and say good things about me, because it hasn't always been that way. But since the Lord has come into my life, man, given me a new direction. And,
yes.
So yeah, He spared my life so many times, bro, and put me in so many positions to be successful. That it's some things that have happened over the last 10 or 12 years I couldn't fathom 20 years ago.
Exactly.
So
wow.
he's been good to me. So I try to carry myself accordingly, man. That's what we have to do. Like that, especially dealing with children, because all they can learn is what they see, what they hear, and what we teach them. So we have to be very careful. I did a football game. I was at one last night with my grandson, and I have to, even though the referee made some crazy calls, but I try not to get out there and act a fool, because I don't want to be on TV.
Exactly.
I don't want to be in front of those parents. So you see that guy acting crazy.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful with kids, man, and anybody. Because like I said, you never know the opportunities you may have down the road, and you never know the opportunities you may miss. Because of a certain behavior as well.
And that goes right back into what Frank was saying when the Holy Spirit told him to pray that the blind person regains his sight. Now, I can't sit here. I can't say, well, this would happen, that would happen. But I'm crazy enough to believe. I'm crazy enough to believe that if the Holy Spirit told you that was going to happen, to do it, Frank, I'm crazy enough to believe that sightless person would be able to see today had you been obedient. And this is no slight to you at all. At all. You my brother, you know that. But my thing is, we have to listen. We have to listen and be very obedient to what we're being told. What do you say to that?
No, Raheem, you owe me more than that. because I know beyond the shadow of the doubt that you love me.
Yes.
And that at the time that I miss God's voice like that, you need to say, don't let that happen again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're better than that.
Yeah.
Don't coddle me. Because and there's times where we need people that care about us to say, all right, man, I pray you learn from that. Because that can't happen again.
Yeah.
And I did. That never happened again. That probably happened 20 years ago. And that was the beginning of me really being obedient to the voice of God. And I'm going to tell you, man, yesterday, you talk about who's watching you and about being obedient and about hearing the voice of God. Yesterday, I went to pick my son up from track practice. So they're still out on the field running. So I tried to go over, to a part of the field where was nobody at. And stand because, my phone, how my phone ring right here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be, disrupt or interrupt anybody else. So I'm on my phone and I'm talking. And this young girl comes over there, she's dressed kind of risque, and she's just, her mannerisms is kind of flirtatious. So I move. I walk about 15 feet away. 20 minutes later, I look up. She's back over there by me.
Yeah.
It's just me and her. I went to my car. Now, a lot of people are like, well, were you scared or what's wrong? Yes, I am afraid.
Yeah.
Scripture says, don't let your good be evil spoken of. I don't want you over here by ourselves. I don't want nobody to look at my son and say, hey, man, is that your dad over there talking to such and such? No.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
So we have to be, the word of God says, that a wise man sees danger from afar away, and he avoids it. We have to avoid some stuff. Obedience is very important, and then the perception. It is. People will be quick to say, "I don't care what people think about me." I do, because I'm representing Christ. I'm representing my family. I represent my wife. I want my wife to be proud of me. I don't want her to come somewhere and they say, oh, that's your husband? Yeah. Every time he come up here, he always trying to be around the women or something. No. I want her to be proud of me.
Yeah. Exactly. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Ryan, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning? Cassandra coming to you next. Ryan, we're talking about how we have to be real mindful. We have to be very mindful because we never know. We never really know who's watching us and the impact that we have on their lives. We never know who's watching us, man. And I told a story about my grandson this morning about how he was watching a broadcast one day when things were a little south side on us. But I had to stay in a certain. I couldn't let myself lose control. And everybody was saying, and y'all might remember the day. It was a day where we got 1 million calls. Y'all know, bing, bing, bing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But it was that day, and he was listening on that day, and he called me after the broadcast was over, and Peepaw, he called me Peepaw. Peepaw, you okay? And I use that as a teachable moment, man, to let him know to always stay in control regardless of what the situation is. Don't let nobody take control of you. So Ryan, how do we deal with that? Excuse me. How do we deal with that? Because we have certain responsibilities to the people that we know are watching and to the people that we may not even know are watching us at that moment. What do you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the time you could say that, especially if you carry a position, like you carry a position, right? And you're the host of this show. We got countless people we know and don't know watching and listening. And tuning in to glean something. Perfect example was yesterday for me.
Mhm.
I know I left abruptly, but my director of operations for the entire company was in the facility yesterday,
Mhm.
and he brought numerous staff members from around the country into my building. And so my guys are down here cutting up, and I usually cut up with them, but I didn't do that yesterday
Mhm.
because there's people walking around.
Mhm.
And I got this one cat. He's he's the hardest working lazy person you'll ever see in your life.
Wow.
If I don't stay on him, he will find somewhere, go sit down or go lay down.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so he's inside this trailer, sprawled out, laying down. And
Wow.
I was like, and I walked past and I stopped in front of the door. And my lead was like, "Uh-oh, here it comes." He thought I was going to explode on this cat. And I said, "Listen," I said, "you need to have some kind of sense." "What you
Mhm.
mean?" I'm like, "It's people in here could snap their finger and you lose your job. HR don't even matter at this point. And you in here laying on the ground. What's wrong with you? Get
Mhm.
up, act like you got some sense."
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I say that to say this. At the end of the day, this man, I've never met him before in my life. I just know who he is because of chain of command. He come up, put his hand on my shoulder, and my boss was standing there. He said, "This has nothing to do with your boss. We just walked through this facility. It is immaculate. We
Mhm.
have no other facility like this in the country. It's
Mhm. Wow.
perfect."
Wow.
And he said, "Thank you for
Mhm.
everything that you do." And I said, "Well, it's not just me. My team out there plays a role in this. I don't do
Mhm.
it myself." He's like, "Nah,
Mhm.
you stop trying to pass the credit out." I'm like, "But that's what a leader does. I don't do it myself. I need people, right? I need a team." And he's like, "And
Mhm.
that's why you are where you are." And this
Mhm.
was supposed to be a meeting for the big heads.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got invited out last night to hang out with them.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
was, to me, that was like the apex of my career right there. I just got asked to come hang out with the big heads. I'm the small fry. So,
There you go.
but it's because of how I conducted myself.
Mhm.
I could have acted a fool on that guy. I could have acted a fool with my team, but I knew there was people in here watching, looking,
Mhm.
and I had to maintain a certain level of composure. And
Absolutely.
that's a simple explanation or answer to your question, but it paints that picture real well, I think.
Exactly. It does. It does. Cassandra, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, we're talking about we never know who's watching us and how they look, how they view us. Now, a lot of people, I know I've been knowing you for quite a while, and I know that you have an impact on a lot of people's lives. But if Cassandra, if you go out there one day and things are not going well, and you have one of them quote air quote bad days, and you go off on somebody to the point you cussing them out and all kind of things, yelling, hollering, rolling your neck, and doing all kind of things that a person do when they get upset. But you look around, and there's this little girl, a little teenager, say a little teenager, that she's always looked up to you. You know she always looked up to you, and she see you acting like that. Cassandra, what would that do to your heart?
Yeah, well, first I wouldn't do that. I mean, I may act a fool sometimes on there, but I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can ever say that they've seen me do that
Mm-hmm.
in front of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as being in places and how it looks to people, uh, that really is not a huge concern to me because the people that I'm around, you talk about me talking to them. So I don't care because
Mm-hmm.
that's my ministry. That's what God has given me. So when God has told me to go into the strip club and minister, and I have other women that I deal with that they do the same thing. Their organization, their ministries go into strip clubs, and we go where the drug addicts are, and we're around these people. If you saw me with them, you'd say, "Oh, dang, is she using drugs, man? She be up there talking to them. She be over there. I don't know, what is she doing?" You could assume anything you want, but I know what my purpose is. So I'm not concerned about you watching me. I'm concerned about God knowing that that's where he sent me, and I'm going to be obedient. So, and I've spoken about this before. It's been twice that I've gone into strip clubs to minister to strippers. I don't care who saw me go in there. I really don't, because I'm not accountable to you. I'm accountable to God. So I'm just saying, things are not always what they look like. They talked about Jesus because he hung with publicans. He hung with people that he should not, according to them, even be talking to. He spoke to the prostitutes. Come on now. I'm just being real. This is for me. I ain't talking about nobody else. So when he hung around those people, he didn't say, "Oh man, you know what? I shouldn't be talking to this girl because everybody knows she a prostitute, and I'm over here, talking to her." They might think, I don't care what you think at that point. I'm being obedient to the Father. So, we all different. We got to do what we got to do. But if they talked about Jesus and the people that he hung around, I have no problem with them talking about me and the people that I'm around.
Wow, that's good.
I'm just saying.
Stanley, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart? Because we got a lot of different directions that's going on right now, but the common thing is we all are very concerned about what God says and how God views us and sees us. What do you say to that? Stanley, you there? Okay. Stanley might have stepped away for a second. Ryan, talk to me, brother.
Sorry, trying to still wake up.
I'm on a little too early for you this morning, huh?
Yeah, I was out late, like doing things, consuming beverages I shouldn't have. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I have teachable moments like that with my kids a lot. Like you were saying, one occurrence we had with this neighbor, him and his wife split up, and she had another dude staying in his house. And I was just looking at him like, "What are you doing, bro?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't really know this guy. He just got out of jail." And I'm like, "And you let this guy stay in your house with your wife? Like, in front of your kids?" So, long story short, they split up, and he come knocking on my door. "Hey, man, can you come outside and help me?" And I go outside, and my kids follow me outside all the time. And him and this dude across the street about to scrap. And he's thinking, I'm going to jump in and catch his back.
Wow.
And my oldest is looking at me like, because she knows the type of individual I am. I said, "Turn around, go back in the house." And I followed him right in the house and shut the door. And they were like, "You're not going to help him?" I'm like, "That ain't got nothing to do with me." Like, he's scared. He set this situation up for himself. He's going to have to take an L for the day.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, you can't get involved in everybody's drama. Like, you see stuff at school. Like, I try to make it relevant to them for their age. And you see stuff at school and two people fight, don't circle up around there. Start cheering on. Fight. Pull out your phone, try and record it. Like, that's nonsense. You're better than that. Just walk away. Go to class.
Exactly.
And people will see you do that. And some of those people that are on the same mental level as you will see what you're doing and be like, "You know what? That's probably what I should do too." And walk away. You have to be aware of your situations, be aware of your actions, because they affect other people around you, not just you.
Be that example. Be that example. That's what it's all about. You want to be that positive example. Toya with a T. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, good morning. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Good to have you, sis. We're talking about a lot of times, and I know Toya in the industry that you're in, you deal with a lot of young people, and they look at you and view you a certain way. Do we take account? Do we take account as to how people see us, the example that we have to other people, or does it really even matter?
No, we never take into account. That's why we walk around talking about, I ain't no role model.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody see you and you still have an influence when you walk around doing dumb stuff. So, no, we don't actually acknowledge it, but I think that it's real tricky saying that it matters or not. You know, I remember my father used to say, yeah, you don't care what people say about you. You do the right thing and you keep on doing it, you know. And he explained out the consequences of being a person that's a person of integrity, a person of honesty. Everybody ain't gonna be with it. You're gonna lose out just for being honest sometimes. But that's the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But as I've gotten older, I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should care what some people think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should be more mindful of the masculine energy that just throbs off of this feminine woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can cause a problem with others. It can intimidate others, especially men.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I should care and think about how people perceive me. Or maybe we should think about how people perceive us and how, you know, influential we are when we move. So it's real tricky depending on, I think, one, the position that you're in, you know, as a parent, as a leader, as an authoritarian, as a manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then once you start naming certain positions and don't name others, that's a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is really a tricky question. For me, I do not care what you think of me.
Mm-hmm.
What I eat don't make you poop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can think what you want to think. It don't make me no difference. Because I know when I wake up in the morning, I try to do the right thing. I know when I go to sleep at night, I be like, Lord, ooh, you know, I'm special, Lord. I need you to help me.
But
And
Toya, let me do something. Let me do something real quick. And I'm the question asked. Let me be the question asked today, Friday. Or, you know, get a little silly every now and then. But Toya, I think to a certain degree, I think it does matter. And the reason why, I'm gonna tell you why I say that, because I've heard you say many times on here that the way the person that you used to be and the example that you used to be to your younger folks in your family, your nieces and your nephews and stuff like that, you go back and you say, look at here, hold on, auntie told you wrong. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Auntie taught you wrong. Auntie was wrong during that time. During that time, auntie was wrong. So it meant something to you to correct to right the wrong example that you had put before them. It meant something to you to do that. And so that's why I say it does matter, because you took if it didn't, you would not have taken the responsibility. Hold on, no. I know I acted like that. I know I did that back in the day. I was a different person then. This is how we should do this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just simply correcting the action.
Yes.
Because when I was in a younger state, I listen, I still don't care what people say, but I know that, like I said, when I move on a daily basis now, I'm talking to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about none of you humans, yo. I just told my parents that this other weekend. Oh, Toya, you didn't change. I said, trust me. Trust me. I've changed in more ways than you can imagine. And if you see some things still lingering, the same way he delivered me from these cigarettes, he's going to be delivering me from other things. But it's in his time, not yours or mine. So at the end of the day, what's the determining factor in my mind is that when you wake up on a court of trying to serve your God, the Most High, nothing else matters. The world is going to talk about you when you serve him. So that is the only time, and this is just what I've learned now, and I'm not perfect, and I still mess up, and I still have a few worldly ways, but when I wake up, I try to wake up to serve him. And when a demon coming away, I'm going to match that demon with the same energy and pray about it later. But I get up with the intent to serve him, and it does not matter what any of you humans think about that because I know the deal that me and God got going on. And that's
Mhm.
the only way. That is the only circumstance that I think that it is a safe zone for you not to care what others
Mhm.
think about you.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Joseph. Then we'll go to Leonard. We got Leonard with us as well this morning. Joseph, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning.
Man, look, we
And
got
what's the topic?
well, we're talking about doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter in responsibilities, man, and how does it matter how other people look at you and the example that you have? Because a lot of times, Joseph, people could be watching you, especially young people, watching you, how you act, how you interact, and things like that. And they could look, they could find the right and wrong in that. And and they would implement
Yeah.
that into their lives. Because if I seen Joseph do it, he's a good dude. He's a good guy. If he did, I know it got to be right. It have to be right. He
Yeah.
wouldn't. He won't do nothing wrong. Not Joseph. Talk to me.
Well, I think that's well, not true because I like being human. I see growth in myself when I look back. And there are things that I used to do or did when I was younger that I would not dare do today. And I'm grateful for the grace to allow me to grow,
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that people are looking for someone to draw strength from. I'm aware of that. I try my best to be a good example, especially to young people, because we were young,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a struggle when you're young.
Mm-hmm.
Going through those various changes. I mean, we all went through them. I guess we all did. I know I did. Adolescence and all of that. So I try to be an example, but I'm not perfect, and I take joy in that too. I take joy in that because I'm human.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was an angel now and I failed, if I was an angel,
Mm-hmm.
I feel real bad. But
Mm-hmm.
but I am a human, and I'm still learning about myself.
Okay. Let me ask you this question, Joseph. And I
Yeah.
know this is not what you meant when you said that. But I'm asking you the question as a whole. Do you find some people
Hmm.
use that verbiage? I'm not perfect. I'm just a human. God's still working on me. And do you think sometimes people use that as an excuse when they want to do wrong, or when they know they've done something
Yeah.
wrong, and they just that's their
Yeah.
cop out? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's unfortunate for them because how are you going to grow?
Mm-hmm.
I don't use my human status to stay wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
especially when my wrong affects others,
Mm-hmm.
or if it affects my health, like, drugs or excessive alcohol or terrible language,
Mm-hmm.
profanity, which provokes anger and creates conditions that you really don't want to create.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't use that as an excuse to be wrong and not grow.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
think the grace that we have is so we have room to grow,
Mm-hmm.
not room to stay, in what we know is not aligned with truth or what's really right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, but you're right. We do use it. We'll find any excuse. I know some drug addicts, man, and some brothers strung out on alcohol and sisters strung out on alcohol, man, that I've gone to them and say, you really being a better example for your children, and not only that, but you're killing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's shameful to see you falling all down, talking all out your head, and or strung out on drugs, and you stealing from people to try to feet that have it. You know, it's painful to watch you. You know, I know it's got to be miserable to be in that state. So
Exactly.
so yeah, but you know, well, you know, it's just the way things is. You know, well, I've been in situations. You know, I smoked cigarettes. I couldn't quit. Right then, I couldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know it's a struggle.
Good deal, good deal. Let me go to Captain Leonard. Captain Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Leonard, being an example or a role model, or not even that, but a lot of times in this thing called life, people watch us, look up to us, and sometimes we don't even know that they're watching us. I say all the time about my grandkids, especially my grandsons, man. They watch what I do. And I have to be real mindful, certainly when they're around. I have to be real mindful as to the example that I be towards them. Because, like I said with Joseph, if people do something wrong, even if it's wrong, they don't necessarily always know that it's wrong, but they know that people did it, and so it have to be right. So, what responsibilities do we have moving forward with being that example to other people, the people that we know are watching us, and sometimes the people that we may not even know is watching us?
You know, it just depends on the type of person that you are, I guess. I mean, I don't go out of my way, but what I do is I am me. So I've always tried to do that which is right. Now, if I fail sometimes, but I usually would try to correct that. And I've been like that my entire life because was taught to me that way. That's the way I was raised. You do your best regardless. If somebody ain't watching, you still need to be doing the best you can. You know, I've never been the one to really have this need to be less than. I mean, people can call it what they would like, but there is an example there that I follow. So if you're watching me, if for any period of time, you know I'm rather consistent. I just don't have the desire to be less than. So if people find something in me that they want to emulate, they can. But I would rather you look towards Christ.
Come on.
That's the direction that I send you in. Because I'm not trying to live for you. I'm not.
And I'm gonna ask you this question, Leonard, and I 100% know exactly what you mean, but I'm gonna ask you this question for the listeners. Basically, you say you're going to send them towards Christ because that's the way, that's the direction that you want to send them in. Why is that?
Because that's what I have chosen. That's why I'm able to do what I do each and every day. It's be trying to develop a relationship in a mind like Christ, because I found it to be the best way, better than any man I've ever met.
Come on.
Men just don't live up to those types of standards for me. Men are fallible. So if you want to be perfect, you should follow a perfect example. And I have not found no one except Christ.
There you go. Good.
So you know, you can emulate those things. If you see a great ball player, yeah, learn the skills. Take advantage of everybody's knowledge, skills, abilities, and talents. But now the issue is, I like what Brother Wheeler was saying. Don't think you can use me as an excuse for your behavior. I'm not set up like that. You know, a lot of people, they make all these little smart sayings, you know, this, that, and the other. Do as I say. Now, you have a responsibility for yourself to the Creator, not me. You need to be dealing with that.
And if we were more focused on living up to that responsibility, would this be a better place?
Yes. It would only help this way. If you were to follow the 42 laws of Ma'at, it would be a much better place. These things are not meant for control, but for your safety. You need to be saved because you are just that fallible.
Wow. Good deal. Good deal. Stay right there, Leonard. We're going to keep this thing going. Frank, talk to me, brother.
You know, you have like me a martial arts background.
Yes.
And the one thing that the little bitty 5-foot Grandmaster Shem taught me is that they used to bring these horses out. And they would start out with like a little 2-foot horse. They'd have you kick over it for months. Then they'd bring out a horse that was like right at your waist. And they'd have you kick over it. Then all of a sudden, here they come with this horse, this wooden horse that's over your head. I mean, it's over your head.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd say, kick over it. And they would have you stand right up against it. So, you know, you really didn't have any room to try to lean and kick over this horse. And he'd say, kick over it. I said, Master Shem, I mean, that is taller than my head. I can't kick over that. And he said, you're right. Walked away for like 6 weeks. Come back, kick over the horse. I can't do it. And the thing that he was teaching me was the reason you can't kick over that horse is because you just confessed it. So we have to be, when we say things like, well, I'm only human, or I'm just a man, and it's the great things that we do in life is because of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That is that way by design, that we get to a place of failure, and then the things that we do that are absolutely great, it is in his strength.
Mm-hmm.
It is when we begin to lean on him. And that is when you begin to show God's presence in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to begin to confess things. We know it in sports. It happened all through sports. All of your great coaches used to have you meditate.
Mm-hmm.
My basketball coach had us lay in the middle of the gym. I want you to lay there and envision yourself making baskets, you know, after practice. Like, this is the craziest thing. But you get in the game and you find yourself in a certain position on that floor, and you pull up and all your form is right there. And it was just like you imagined it.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. You hit that shot. But you would meditate on it. Scripture tells us to meditate day and night.
Mm-hmm.
But how do these things happen? When we go to the Beatitudes, it tells us it's by faith. We have to wake up no matter what happened yesterday.
Yes. Every
day believing that by faith, we're going to do a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be a little bit better of example, because it is your walk. It's how you carry yourself. It's your demeanor. Those are the things that causes you to be strange, that strange person. And those are the people those are the things that cause people to look at you and begin to wonder. And then that is when you can begin to speak to them about the living God and begin to tell them, it's not me. If you see anything good in me, it's Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be different than the world. The world are the ones that are easily aggravated. The world are the ones that are brawlers and that have the language. That's the world. That's not who we're called to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. And I'm asking a question this morning. Ryan, I'm coming to you with this question, and it's based on this. And I heard somebody say this years ago. What are you going to feed? What are you going to feed in your life? Are you going to feed the positive, the negative, or are you going to be that example? What are we feeding? because what we feed in this is what's going to grow, and what we starve is going to die. So, Ryan, what do you say to that? Ryan, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, talk to me, brother.
We'll step away for a second. I really don't know how much further I can go with, with this. It's pretty straightforward in my opinion. Just reflect what you want other people to see, and it's
what if it's a lie that you're reflecting? Because a lot of time, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that. A lot of times, what it is, a person put a front up. A lot of times, people confront that, and that goes into that fake it till you make it mentality. Fake it till you make it. That's not who you are. That's not who you are, or how you conduct yourself really. Because if a person really get to know themselves and they're real and they're true with themselves, a lot of the things that they do is not who they are. But that's what they want people to see, because it shows them in a better light. So how can a person get to the reality of being who they really are and live in truth?
A lot of times that takes someone or something, mainly God, to put them in check. Because, as they say, real recognize real.
Yes.
Or, as I like to say, real recognize fake. And if somebody out there fronting and you have that chance encounter, you put them in check. A lot of people that I associate with, they're not going to stand for that. They're not going to have you sitting there talking all out in their face, putting on that front. They're going to check you right then and there. And I think that sometimes it takes a reality check for some people to realize, oh, people ain't going for this. Or God, for instance. God, I think the perfect reality check was for my wife. She wasn't putting on a front, but she put me on a pedestal above God because of the things that I did for her in her life. And it's not bad, right, that she viewed me in a different light from the rest of humanity, because I saved her life. I did. But God got a hold of her one day and given her that chastisement in her prayers. And she came to me a complete mess. I went, what is wrong with you? And she said, I thought that I had repented for everything, that I had somehow made amends for all of the things in my life that I'd done. And I said, wow, I see you do these things. And she said, God put me in check. I forgot one thing. And I said, what was it? She said, I had you in my heart and in my spirit as a God because of the things that you did for me. And he checked me and told me, I am the only one. And until you correct this behavior, I'm going to keep checking you.
Wow.
And so, that's a prime example of when God steps in and is like, that's enough. I've had enough of your shenanigans. I'm going to put you in check.
Yeah.
And he will do that.
Absolutely. Cassandra, talk to me, sis. We got a lot going on this morning. What's on your heart? Toya with a T, coming to you next.
Yeah, I applaud Ryan for being able to even share that, because that's major, because a lot of people put people and things on the level or above God, and we have to keep that in mind, that it's always God first.
Yes.
And I'm going to repeat what I said. I am not concerned when God speaks to me. I am not concerned about what you or anybody else is saying or thinking about what I'm doing. I will obey God. The word of God says it is better to obey God than man. So even though something may look like something to you, I cannot be concerned about what it looks like to you when I'm under the direction of God. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Absolutely.
I will not disobey God because of what you may perceive to be right or wrong. I can't do it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I don't recommend anybody to do that. Follow God's lead. He's taking you somewhere. He's doing it for a reason. You don't have to understand it. And a lot of times we won't, and we don't. But if he tell you, do it. If you know that it's him that's speaking to you, then you listen to that voice. You listen to that voice. Toya, with a T, talk to me, sis. Because he's not going to lead us wrong.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. God gonna make sure that happens anyway. There's oftentimes that we ask why, and the question why I'm paying Apple Pay, and the question why is because we put in certain gods in that place. Like
yes,
Ryan just said. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, why did this happen? Why did that happen? I think when he talk about the metaphysics, thank you so much, of the world, we want to ask why, but we forget who we was first. We forget that when some things happen, that we've replaced him with something more because we give our attention to it the most, other than him. You know what I mean? And then it becomes into this question asking forum on a daily basis. Why, God, why? You know what I mean? But again, who says any of this is wrong? Who says anything of what we do or what we don't understand is not in concordance with him if he's in control of everything? But do we actually acknowledge that we've made other idols our God? No. And this society is built upon multiple idols on a daily basis. And that's a part of this spell. And that is why a lot of us are experiencing some of the storms that we are, because we've allowed laws to replace God, race to replace God. I mean, money.
Come on.
I mean, like there's a lot of things we allow from different people's perspectives to replace him. And then we wonder why it's turbulent times. But I thank you for the snatching he gave me. You hear me? Because I was my own God. Because nobody did nothing with me. You can't tell me nothing. And once I've grown in this skin, if this skin gonna go to hell, this is the only one that's gonna tell it what to do. So the only infiltrator that could do anything with me was God, the one who created me. Okay. Oh, really? Well, unstick yourself then. Oh, you bad? Oh, you bad? Oh, go on and unstick yourself then. Matter of fact, look, I'm going to let you go to the hospital, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, you're bleeding on the inside, and send you home. Now what you going to do? You understand me? At a very turbulent time in life, keep in mind, to where I didn't even want to live, which was more disrespectful, because how you going to tell your creator that created you that you don't even want the gift he's given you? So, there were a multitude of things I experienced with a God to come back and say, I don't ask him why no more. I just kind of already know.
Yeah.
I kind of already know the answer to the why. When I see or hear certain scenarios or certain people or certain life attributes, like kind of what we're going through in America, I kind of know why, because there's sins we've committed. And we don't want to repent.
Come on.
When people come in and do certain things, I already know what you're going through. Been there, done that. When I was rebellious too. Listen, I didn't want to believe in them either, and my life got rocky. Now I'm back on track. Is my life still rocky? Yeah, but not like that type. Not that type. There's a little bit of peace over here. So 9 times out of 10, if we really know how this world operates and how or who God is, you can automatically know and see why the turbulence is going on in certain situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Leonard, talk to me, brother.
Like I say, it's about maturity and growing and developing and walking this path.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always assume everything and to believe that you're right. You have to learn as you go, like on the job training.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that you could choose. What are you choosing?
Mm-hmm.
I think Toya kind of hit on that as well. Most of the reasons why a lot of y'all in hell is because that's what you chose.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
made all these hellish decisions.
that goes back to what I said about what are you going to feed, and that's what they're feeding.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, go ahead.
It's like it's too late after them 3 babies to talk about shoulda, coulda, woulda. You should have been practicing long before this.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't want those 3, if you never think about it, something as serious as making babies.
Mm-hmm.
You wait till after they got here to all of a sudden decide now that you're gonna start doing better. It's because you have to. And a lot of people don't even do better then.
Yeah.
They just become neglectful.
Mm-hmm.
But see, when you act like you can negate the choice and the opportunity up front, you're gonna get what you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
You're gonna if you set your life up for struggle, guess what? That's what you're going to do. If you think that you don't need to know education, go ahead. Don't get one.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, 20 years you'll come back. You know what? I need to go and go back to school. When you could have just went to school in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly.
Stop just making mistakes all the time because they're not mistakes if you know better.
Mm-hmm.
You're choosing to fail, and that's why you're failing.
Mm-hmm. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. We're talking about responsibility right now. We're talking about responsibility, and I see that our guest is here. We're gonna bring our guest in right at 8:30. We're gonna bring her in, and she's going to educate. And Lynn was talking about education. She's going to educate us on some of the things that we may need to take a look at as we move forward in this thing called life. And so I see her. She's actually in the green room right now, so she'll be coming in right at 8:30. But right now, let me go to Stanley. Are you still with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm on the road, but I'm here.
Okay, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
Well, you was talking about responsibility, and as we said earlier, man, my thing is it's our responsibility to leave this world a better place than we found it, especially when it comes to our children and grandchildren. We have to be a good example for them.
Yes.
There's just so many things we can talk about this morning, man. Because I go back to the suicide thing, and I think the brother was talking about. I think I heard one I'm talking about somebody was going to commit suicide. I had a brother call me a few months ago, like 75 years old, man. He was going through, and he called me one night about 9:30, 9:45, and say, he's thinking about checking out, man. Like, bro, you can't do that. That's not your call. That's God's call. You can't take God's job. He allowed you to be at 75. Who knows how many more years you'll be here? So you can't do that, man. So we was able to, talk about it and kind of ease his mind and everything. And I try to check in with him once a week. He's not close by, so I can't just run over there, but I can call him. It's our responsibility, man, to uplift people as much as we can. Wherever we can, whenever we can. And make this world a better place. There's so much going on in this world that's negative.
Yes.
So let's try to take the responsibility and do everything positive and lift people up and encourage folks and educate folks and, just be a helping hand when and where we can.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely. Hey, that's plenty, brother. That's definitely plenty. Well,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning, Glow.
Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Man, Raheem, I am awesome. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Raheem.
Good deal. Good deal. We're talking about responsibility and how a lot of times we don't recognize or we don't understand that people are watching us. People are watching us. And I gave an example about my grandson. how we had a conversation. I think it was last week, and they had virtual learning, and he called me after the broadcast. Peepaw, he called me Peepaw. Peepaw, are you okay? Because some things happened. That's the day when we got all them 100 phone calls, beep, 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 back to back. You know the day I'm talking about. And I used that as a teachable moment. And I spoke to him. I said, listen, you can't let people control you. You control your own situation, and don't let them take control of you. Just stay who you are. Just be true to who you are. And I used that as a teachable moment. And he understood what I was saying. But I know that my grandson, man, I got four grandbabies right now, one on the way. And I love them, man. It's my second opportunity. And like I said, I didn't do all the things perfect with my daughters. I know I did not, and I'm very apologetic for that. In my heart, I am. But God has given me a second opportunity to get it right with my grandkids. And so it means a lot to me to be that example, especially, for all my grandkids, but especially my grandson, because they're little boys growing up in this world. And so I have to be that example for them. And I have to be real mindful as to how I interact with my wife, because they look at that. It's a lot of things that kids pay attention to that you don't know that they're looking at, but they pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing to you is, do we take that for granted sometimes, or do we take the responsibility as it should be?
You know what, Raheem, you said it all in a nutshell. Sometimes we do take it for granted because life gives us so much. We're so involved in our work and our jobs, and we get involved in projects and events, and sometimes we forget the very things that are really important. And that's our family, our children, nieces, nephews, whatever, at whatever young age that they're at, that they're watching us and they're looking at what we do. And sometimes they'll throw that right back in your face. And then you don't realize that you did that until they threw it back in your face. And then it's like what you say, you got to apologize for it. It's just like what God does for us every day. He said you missed it with your children, but now you got that opportunity with your grandchildren. Where every time he wakes us up in the morning, he gives us another chance and another opportunity to get it right with him. So it all just dominoes on down for us to pay attention. We don't pay attention to life sometimes. We're moving so fast. On the expressway, it says 50 miles an hour, but we're doing 100. That's because we're trying to get to a place fast instead of taking our time. Because whether we go 50, whether we're going to go 100, things are going to still be the same and turn out the same. So I'm giving homage to you to understand that you're one of those individuals that can admit, because as humans, it's so hard for us to admit our wrong, because then we're looking at that we have flaws, and we don't want to be looked at as though we have flaws. We want to put that mask on every day for the world, instead of realizing that if you got this here right, you ain't got to worry about nobody else and their opinions about you, because of the fact that they're going to make their opinion about you anywhere it goes. So you don't allow that to change you. You change what you know you need to change for the world, for your family, for your friends.
Absolutely.
And that's what's on my heart right here.
Good deal. Joseph, talk to me, brother.
You're talking about responsibility?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We have an obligation and responsibility to I like what you said about your grandkids, man. I think I'm like you. I didn't do as much as I wish I had with my daughter, but with my grandkids, man, it's a second chance. It seems. My grandson is studying for his master's degree, and I think I had a little bit to do with it, and it feels good,
Yes. That's good. That's good.
I mean, giving him the right attitude toward education, anyway.
That's good. That's good.
But we got a responsibility, man. When you become adult, you got responsibilities.
Sometime whether you want them or not. Toy, you with a T talk. Toy, you with a T talk to me. Toya, you there? Okay. Toya may have stepped away for a second, but we're going to take this opportunity right now. And I'm looking at the clock, and it's 8:29. So I'm going to bring our guest in. Bring her in here. There she is. There she go. Look at she look like she hiding a happy elephant later than porcupine proud. Look at her.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, young lady. First, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to have this conversation with you today. I know you're going to give us a lot. You got a lot to offer and a lot of information. And so we're going to be here. We're going to have this conversation. Open up the floor, let you say what you want to say and educate us.
Okay.
But before we get there, I want you to introduce yourself.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am just elated to be here. I met Raheem, and he's the connect, y'all. Definitely tapping into what he has to say. I'm already in the background was listening to your conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting excited because it's nothing like, really having a difficult, conversation sometimes about responsibility. Sometimes that means you have to hold people accountable.
Yes.
People that you love. Sometimes, it's hard to do. It's called a crucial conversation, but especially in the line of work that I do, I'm an insurance advisor. You really have to, have these conversations because you love the people that are in your family and that you're connected to, and you want to see them win and you want to see them prosper. But at the same time, when it comes down to certain life situations that everybody is going to encounter, you really want to make sure that they are properly prepared. And so my name is Moon Thomas. I'm an insurance advisor. I'm in Georgia. I'm in the Gwinnett County, Grayson area in Georgia. And literally, I've been licensed since 2013 in the state of Georgia, but I'm also licensed in 14 other states now outside of this area. So I can help people, and I have people on my team that are in other areas. So I can help anybody, anywhere, not just in Georgia. And literally, I am a resource. That is my calling. That is my mission. That's my purpose. Even though I'm in the line of work of insurance, it's really my mission and my purpose to, help Black and Brown people really be a resource to them. And, representation is very important for you to see someone and can really understand what it is that you may be facing because, we have some of the same similarities. I'm no different than anyone else.
That's good. I'm gonna ask you a very simple question starting off.
Okay.
And this is something that I'm sure a lot of people know, but they don't know.
Okay.
But what is insurance and why?
Okay, so insurance is really just the protection of a certain risk. So everybody has, 50-50 chance of having an accident, 50-50 chance of dying at any age. Because, it's not just based on age. People are living longer these days, taking care of themselves. So it's no longer that life insurance is just for older people. We have, since the pandemic, you've been seeing some young people coming up out of this lifetime earlier than I've ever seen. Really after the pandemic and during the pandemic, I was amazed at just the rate of deaths and people that were leaving this earth. And, like just in general, it's almost like if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And after something happens is not the best time or the right time to get any insurance. You need to get it before to be prepared. And so just here today, really to kind of spread the word, whether people know it or not, that September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And actually, I'm glad that there is a month for this because it's something that we usually don't think about until maybe someone in our family passes away, or you have a loved one that's close to you that, you have to go through the whole process of planning a funeral or paying for a funeral. And it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And unfortunately, in our community, we don't usually have, $10, $20, $15,000 laying around just to bury someone. And so life insurance is very important. I'm not just a life insurance agent. I'm also just a health insurance agent under 65, Medicare over 65. I am also licensed and certified to help with regular life insurance like IULs, which is Index Universal Life, where that's where you can actually become your own bank, grow your money. annuities where you're talking about taking your 401k and protecting it for retirement. So I am a complete resource. And when I say that, I mean that even if you're not my client, I can help you understand something that that you may not know, or, give you some advice on where, I think that I could advise you on. So my job is not to sell you anything. It's really to show you maybe where the gaps are, and then let you decide what you can afford and how you can, overcome that.
So there was a space and time, and we have a lot of people here. I know a lot of them gonna have different questions for you, so we're gonna open up for everybody to ask questions as well. But there was a time where people didn't really do a lot of insurance. They used to have them chicken dinners and they GoFundMe's and stuff like that, and
They still
so
do. They still,
they still do.
they still do. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, that's a burden. That's a burden on your family, your church family. The churches are struggling too since the pandemic. I mean, there's not a lot of people that are contributing the way that they used to. I mean, you used to be able to turn to the church, or you should be able to turn to a family member, but everybody is trying to make ends meet right now. And literally, it's just not fair. I mean, you're a whole adult, unless something happens at a young age to like a child or something, but still as a parent, you have a responsibility. And even the baby boomers I'm at an age where my parents are getting up in age, and when they retired and I saw that maybe they didn't have adequate insurance outside of their job, I had to step in. And I have to pay that. I have to pay that, so that when it comes down to it, somebody's got to pay for the funeral. So I might as well pay for the premium to help them right now, so that later on I don't have to pay the entire bill, And that's a real conversation.
Exactly. Now, a lot of times people say, well, let me start off by saying this right here. A lot of time what people do, they buy what they want and beg for what they need. And insurance a lot of times is not on the top of the list when it comes to what people think they really need.
Right.
Tell them why it is important. Tell them why it is important, so we don't have to worry about them chicken dinners, them fish dinners, or have the family trying to go out there and get a GoFundMe, or begging for money to put their loved ones to rest.
Well, honestly, I think people are a little maybe misinformed about the ways that life insurance can actually work for you. And it doesn't necessarily just help you when you pass away. You can actually use life insurance products while you're still alive. Believe it or not, it can help you to build a savings. There's a way that you can, use that money as a tax shelter in terms of your children, if you get it early enough, because life insurance is technically a risk for the insurance company. So they insure you when you're the healthiest and the younger you are, because, technically you should live longer and you should be able to pay for a long time.
Hold on, sis. Hold on. Say that again. You say life insurance say that part again. It's a risk for who?
For the insurance company.
Why so?
Because they know it's an inevitable thing that everybody's going to die. So it's almost a numbers game for them. It's almost like your car insurance. You pay and pay and pay, but you never have an accident, but you still paid all those years.
Yeah.
So that's how those insurance claims get paid, by the premiums that the people pay. So the more people that are insured that are less risky, that means the longer they should be able to pay, and the insurance will be able to, the company will be able to make more money over a longer period of time. But that's also how the claims get paid out when people do have a loss. So technically on the, people say, well, the insurance company, didn't approve me. Well, it's probably because of your background. It could be like your lifestyle, your weight, your age. It could be your occupation, because they're looking at the risk. And just like a business, the less risky you are, the safer you are for them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay.
But on the other end, you're taking 100% of a gamble when you don't have any life insurance for your family, and then you're rolling the dice on how much money you should have saved up, or maybe have to get together at the last minute, which is it's just not fair to operate that way for your family. But the other thing I wanted to say about how life insurance can actually work for you outside of, you passing away, there are products, which I mentioned, that the IUL Index Universal Life. It has whole life, which means that whenever you purchase it, you're going to be locked in at that price for the rest of your life. So
Mhm.
the younger you
Wait
are,
a minute. What you say that one more time. I want to make sure that's clear what you just said. Say that one more time.
so the younger you are,
Mhm.
the cheaper or the less expensive your insurance premium should be. So
Mhm.
universal life is a product that has living benefits, which means you'll be locked in at the price that you uh, get the policy for the rest
Mhm.
of your life. It's not going to go up in terms of what you pay
Wow.
monthly. And
Wow.
then it has the component that grows your cash value. So over
Mhm.
time, you could actually add more money to it as a tax shelter and literally get a tax break depending on certain limits every year, tax
Mhm.
deductible. And then it also has what's called the living benefits, where if you have a occurrence down the line that you don't die, but you had a critical illness or a chronic illness that developed, you'll be
Mhm.
able to advance 80% of your total policy amount while you're still alive to help you kind of get through that time. So I just use this example. If you have a
Mhm.
$100,000 policy
Yes.
and you get it when you are like in your 20s, okay, let's just
Mhm.
say 20
Okay.
or 30, you
Okay.
know, it would be less than $50 a month. And
Mm.
you will get, you know,
That
you're fine right now because the only way you can get an IUL is if you are healthy, literally.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then once you get into your 50s or so, you're still paying that same premium as if you were 20 something when you got it.
Mhm.
But now
Mhm.
you're in 50s and you develop some type of chronic ailment that the doctor says, this is new diagnosis, and you can literally file a claim to your carrier, and you can take advantage of the living benefits, and you'll be able to advance 80% of that
Wow.
while you're still alive. So you could get
Mhm.
$80,000 right up front for having
Mm.
something that occurred later in life. And it's like a form of protection, because what if you had to go through chemo or something? You didn't die, but you
Mhm.
still
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
work. This is
Exactly.
income replacement.
Now, let me ask you this question. Then we'll go open up because I know a lot of people have a lot of different questions they want to ask you as well. But let me ask you, you say if I get it at 20, if an individual get it at 20 years old, now they're 64, 65 years old. And the amount of money that they're paying is the same as if they paid it when they was 20 years old. But does the coverage change? Is the
No,
coverage still
nope.
okay?
You're locked in. You're literally locked in. That's why it's called whole life, because
Mm-hmm.
it's for your whole life. Whenever you got that policy, that's the price you're going to pay for the rest of your whole life, as long as the policy stays in force. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I really literally educate people on getting the amount of insurance that they need and can afford, so that it can
Mm-hmm.
stay in force when they need to use it. It makes
Mm-hmm.
no sense to trying to get a big policy you can't afford, and then when you
Yeah,
do need to go get it, it's lapsed.
exactly. Exactly. And one of our viewers on TikTok said long term is very important too. Long term is very important.
Yeah,
Um, I'm going to, with your permission, I'm gonna open up for everybody because we have quite a few people that's here today, and they may want to ask you some questions. Is that okay?
I do. But can I mention one thing before that?
Absolutely.
Okay, the one thing I want to also, I long term, I do like the fact of long term, because long term insurance is literally something that most people really don't consider. It's
Mm-hmm.
for when you get into a situation where you cannot perform just the regular daily acts of living, like,
Mm-hmm.
transferring from the bed to the couch, or walking without any assistance, or
Mm-hmm.
toileting or bathing. Those are like where you may need an aide or someone to come in and take care of you.
Mm.
It's in your own home. Well, the long-term care insurance is just the same way as a life insurance. It locks in on the price today, so that even if this happens to you 20 years from now, you're not having to pay the price of 20 years now for care.
Mm.
And if anybody is in that age right now where they're taking care of their family or their parents, they know that even nursing homes, which are not even that, that nice, they're really they're astronomical on long-term care. And if you have somebody like with a condition like Alzheimer's, or something that is a long-term condition that is not going to get better, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people can live with that for years. So
Mm-hmm.
that's sometimes round the clock help that they need.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Good there. Let me start off with Willa. Willa, do you have a question or concern, anything about what you heard thus far?
Yeah, it's just very interesting. I used to always wonder about the insurance when they were speaking of like they would say whole life, and then that's that insurance where you have to, if you get it, live at least 2 years before it becomes a fact as far as the coverage is concerned. So that was interesting because my stepsister who died in 21, she had just gotten some insurance like maybe 2 months before she passed. And I think, believe it or not, because of her medical condition, they didn't pay the coverage.
Wow.
They just sent her the premium back that she had put into it. So, I mean, I believe that a lot of that is already written in. We just don't read it. So my question to you is that if I'm like 29, 30 years old, what would be the best insurance to get? I think you said what, whole life, is that even for someone at that age?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And you said your name was Willow?
Willa.
Willa, I love that. Okay. And I want to just tell you, first of all, I really do, my condolences go out to you for your sister. I mean, 2021 was just like yesterday, in my opinion. So, I mean, I know that is, I'm glad that you shared that with us, but I really do want to just express my deepest condolences for you. So I want to clear something up about what you said about the policy that she probably had. It sounds like she was already sick. And if she had some medical problems, okay. So if she had some medical problems, there is a type of insurance that's called graded. It's a graded policy and it's final expense. It's usually not a huge policy. It may be, 20, 25,000 or so. It's usually for, maybe if you're a little bit older or you have some medical conditions that you don't usually qualify for like a general rating. A graded policy is like a 2-year window. So they don't do they probably don't even do any medical upfront. You are automatically or what they call guaranteed issued. You're not going to get turned down, but there's like a clause in there. If something happens to you or you passed away, and usually not from an accident, like a medical condition, because they didn't really do all the underwriting at the front, they're taking more of a risk for you. So they're saying for the first 2 years, if you passed away, then we're not going to pay out the actual premium, the actual face value of the policy. Say it's a $10,000 or $20,000 policy. If you pass away in 18 months, you're not going to get that amount. You're going to get the amount that you put into it because they know, and that you probably weren't in the best health at that time. So that protects the insurance company, but it also gives, the beneficiary, the insured, like a chance to possibly beat that window and still come up on that 20,000 for the family, once they passed away. So that's almost like rolling the dice, right? I think 2 years is pretty good, to be honest with you, because some people can get a diagnosis, even if they're in hospice, they're still living past 2 years. But then there are some people who have a diagnosis and know that they have, a limited amount of time, and they try to go out and get insurance. And that's what they're trying to really kind of, deter people from doing. But it's still a coverage that you didn't have. So I just want to clear that up. There is a product out there for just about anybody. I have products where you cannot be turned down, but you may be graded depending on how you answer the questions. And then also, to answer your question about like the 20-year-old you can get an IUL. I just really explained what an IUL is, an index universal life. I think that is the best product to get because it has whole life, living benefits, and you can add cash value to it, right? The younger you are, the healthier you are, the least expensive it is, and also the more likely you are to get approved. That is a product that you have to be healthy to, but you don't have to be 20 something to get that. There's certain carriers that you can get an IUL up into your 70s, but it's just going to be a little bit more expensive. But believe it or not, there's some 70-year-olds out there that's in better shape than I am. Okay. So they look at that too. The health, the age predicts the premium. And then maybe the older you are, the amount that you can borrow may go down in terms of when you first get the policy. So they, they're not going to necessarily let someone 70 get a $200,000 policy, because the likeliness of them possibly living another 20 years is probably not as great. But they may let them still get a $50,000 policy, So
Yeah.
it just depends on your health, your lifestyle, your age, and believe it or not, your driving record.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
So they looking at the way I drive my car, thinking I'm gonna kill myself, and so they're not gonna give me no policy.
Well,
So it's basically what it is.
Some carriers are more lenient, but the ones that have like the better rates and they take the less risk, right? So those policies that are like an IUL where you have to be healthy, they also check your driving record, because if you recklessly drive, that means that you're in danger of killing yourself or someone else. And that even though you might be healthy and you're a certain age, you may be cutting your own lifespan shorter because of the way you drive. So that is something to take in consideration. And then, unfortunately, if you have a criminal background, if you had a felony, that also is a reason why you may not be approved for life insurance. But I do have a product for that too. So it just depends on the carrier.
Exactly. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. We're here with Ms. Moon. She's actually educating us on insurance, in the world of insurance. And so if you have a question, give us a call. We got quite a few people that's on hold right now. So 508-924-3521. If you have a question or a concern, give us a call and I'll try to get to you before the end of the broadcast. If a preteen, what insurance would you? I have grandkids. If I wanted to take insurance out on my grandkids, what would you recommend me taking out on them?
Honestly, they still qualify for an IUL too. An Index Universal Life. I got an IUL for my daughter when she was 5, and if I would have known about it a lot sooner than that, I probably would have got it before most people get the Gerber policy or something like that. The honest thing about it is you do better when you know better, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So even there's one carrier specifically that I am contracted with, because now I'm a broker. So I wanted to just let you know that a broker is someone who is contracted by several carriers. And so I am independent. I work for myself and I can shop around with several carriers that I'm appointed with. So I don't just represent one carrier. So that's why, based on your situation, I can really look at which carrier you'll have the best opportunity to get approved with. And I don't believe in just throwing information out there and seeing what sticks. I really strategically look at, your background, your habits, your prescriptions, even your medical conditions, and then figure out which is the best route for you so that you don't get declined. Because if you get declined, that does go on your, your what they call MIB, your medical investigation bureau. And literally that is something that the insurance companies check whenever they're seeing if you've if you've been declined. Because if somebody else declined you, then there's a reason for that. So they don't want to take that risk all the time. So just like everybody has a credit report, you have one for your medical history.
That's what I was about to say. So basically, you got bad insurance credit. Your credit is bad. Your credit score is real bad. So
Don't do that. No. See, that's what I think we've just had bad information. And you go online and you just see a commercial and you answer yes to everything, and then you get declined and you're like, what happened? And it's like, that's why you really need an insurance advisor, because I have had to take tests, go to school. Well, now I have a college degree, but in terms of insurance, I've had to literally, take tests for Medicare. I have to be certified every single year. For my life insurance license, I have to take continuing education every 2 years. And these are just to keep your license renewed and in good standing. So if I've had to do all that just to understand this, and then I have to get, contracted with each carrier and they have to vet me, then I think that I'm pretty qualified to give you, a good recommendation or be able to sit down and strategically find out what's best for you. And I just don't think that, I know you can do things online, but there's just certain things that you just probably don't know about that happen on the background that an insurance advisor can help you with.
Good deal. Good deal. Frank, any questions?
I see this commercial that comes on, and I feel like they're targeting older people and taking advantage of them. And they're screaming, "You're sitting on a gold mine."
Mm-hmm.
And they're buying their insurance policies. And I'm sure they're buying them for a much smaller percentage of what the policy is worth. And then they're counting on these people passing away and profiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the truth of that?
I mean, I'm not sure exactly which company you're talking about, and I don't really want to say a name on here, but the way that what it sounds like to me is that if they do have any cash value, in a policy, that they're pretty much able to, I guess, maybe sign it over to them and then give them an advance. That's not an insurance practice that I am involved in. However, I mean, I'm sure there's companies out there that do a lot of everything. In my opinion, usually that's more like for your home. If you have equity in your home and you want to kind of exchange that at a certain age, those are like reverse mortgages. That's not the type of insurance that I do. I only strictly deal with life, health, and, just retirement type of insurance. But I don't think it's a best practice. Anytime you're dealing with seniors and you're dealing with people who, are fragile, in my opinion, like, you really need to take more time to actually educate them and help them to come to a decision that is best for them. But just a commercial with that little bit of information, I don't think is enough of a research to do anything of like that type of a transaction. So I think that's why it's important that if you have grandparents and parents that are up in age, that you are either their power of attorney or that you can help them to navigate some of their financial decisions. Because as they get older, they are going to get bombarded with a lot of different, I guess, sales tactics and things of that nature. I primarily work with Medicare demographics. I love like the older generation for that reason, because they're like all my aunties and my grandmas. So you just really need to get a good advisor, somebody that can educate. And if you see something like that, I always tell my clients, if you see something and you're interested, just call me and ask me, versus signing up for something and getting yourself into something you may not be able to get out of. And if it's something I know about, I would definitely, tell you my opinion. If I don't know about it, I'll find out. But literally, that's the reason why they're getting all these calls and why they're, getting all these solicitations, because they're signing up for things that they're not aware of and they don't understand.
Exactly. Badger, I think you said you had a question. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Another beautiful and blessed day.
Ask your question, brother.
I never saw a point of life insurance because all you have to do is save money. Just put it into an account, put it underneath your bed or something like that. I have a large issue trying to trust a company like that.
Okay.
So, what's the difference between just saving money throughout your life versus trying to trust a company and hope to God they keep their word?
Okay. Because watch this. I'm gonna throw this out there. Then I'm gonna let you answer this. If you just save your money, you're putting it up under your bed. What you gonna do when your house burned down? If your house burned down and everything is gone right there, just poof, everything is gone. At least you got something to back you up if you go through an insurance policy, because there's something there that's not gonna burn down in your house. But anyway, go ahead, sister. I'm sure you got a more educated answer than what I just gave you.
Well, I mean, a lot of people think that way, and I'm glad you asked that, because I mean, it's really like a valid question, especially for people that have had like certain experiences in the past. But let me ask you something. Are you married? Are you single?
Badger?
Oh, married, 2 kids.
2 kids. Okay. So the main reason why I think a life insurance policy is important for you or anyone in your, specific married with 2 kids is that it is a legacy. Okay. Because unless you can save up $1 million, if you are one of the breadwinners of your family, when you pass away, that's going to actually be income replacement for your wife. So, I mean, most people don't have that kind of money just saved up under their mattress. And if you do, I mean, I commend you for that. But literally putting it in an insurance product is probably the safest route than putting it even in a savings account. Because whether you know it or not, the banks actually insure their money with insurance policies. So when you put it in an insurance policy, and I'm not saying a savings account, an insurance policy, like an annuity, an IUL, one of those products that actually gain interest and are like tax shelters, you could literally grow your money faster than you could save it. And also you can replace your income at a higher rate than if you just saved it yourself. So for your wife and your children, I think they're all of the reason why you need life insurance, because they're your legacy. Once you pass away, they still have to live on. So, that's the answer that I would give. I think that we trust everything else and we don't see it. Like you gotta have car insurance. You never have an accident. You have to have mortgage and protection for your house. You have to have homeowners insurance. You may not ever have a claim, but you're gonna die. You know for a fact you're gonna die. And to roll the dice, especially if you have children, unfortunately, I don't think that that's the best way to look at it. You need to look at it not based on your own perspective, but look at it from your family's protection and the legacy you want to leave for your children. Because other communities, like such as Caucasians, like that's how they have generational wealth, because they are using insurance products to actually grow money and pass it down. So when the person that is the matriarch or the patriarch of the family passes away, everyone's getting inheritances. So why is it in the Black and brown community, instead of an inheritance, why are we getting a bill? We need to leave in money and not leave in debt.
That's good. That's good.
Wait.
Hold on, Badger. We got a lot of people here. No, we can't. No. We got a lot of people here. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
She has very excellent information. I take full advantage of insurance policies.
Yes.
I have just gotten a quote on an IUL for someone.
Wow.
Because it is the game to play. It is a way to insure yourself against your failures. Period. Think about it. Half the credit cards you got, you ever pay attention to a little 30, 50 cent that you pay on your card? How many of you ever go back and claim when something actually happens? Or even know the specifics in that policy that you could be using? Say, for instance, if you had all these credit cards when everybody had to go home and got laid off and all these types of things, guess what? Those policies could have paid your bills.
Right.
Yep.
I have policies that have paid off automobiles and all types of things. Unfortunately, as a young man, I got ill. That little long-term disability insurance, which works a whole lot like what she's mentioning, guess how I live?
Yeah.
How did I ever know that they was going to have to take my heart out and fix it at such an early age? And I have 2 children and a wife who happen to be disabled as well. How would we have known that she would have to have kidney transplants and these types of things? Healthy one day, ill the next. It could happen to anyone. I tell a little joke because I like to be silly, right?
Yes, you do.
You know why white folks don't cry at the funeral?
Why is that? Why is that?
Checks at the house. There's checks coming to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, I miss you, but this 500,000 sure gonna help.
Woo, Lord, thank you, Jesus.
That is a good testimony, actually, because that is the purpose of getting it when you really don't need it. So when you need it, you can utilize this as a resource. Also, too, I don't think a lot of people are well versed or even understanding of pre-needs policies. Now, a pre-need policy is not actually life insurance, but it is a way that you can prepay your funeral. And it actually helps you to maybe stretch the money that you have in life insurance, because you're not putting the money that you're getting from the life insurance towards the funeral. The funeral is already paid for. And that's something that's literally a gift. It's taken care of now, and it goes directly to the funeral home. And then the insurance policy that actually is the cash, that's getting paid to the beneficiary. And honestly, it has nothing to do with the funeral at all. And we had this conversation the other day, right?
Yes.
That beneficiaries do not have to pay for the funeral. I mean, they should, but they don't have to.
They should.
So literally, that's another way to what they call build legacy. Your insurance policy is for legacy. A pre-needs policy is for your burial or for just your funeral services. And then you really don't have to take $20,000, $30,000 and put it in the ground, So other part about a pre-needs policy that I wanted to let people know is that is something that you can get no matter what your condition is. You could be right now going through chemo. You can have cancer. You can have HIV. You could be in the middle of something traumatic and you will still be approved. It's guaranteed issued. And the thing about a pre-needs policy is that you have a certain time frame, a certain time frame to pay it off, and then you just own it. So where it's in life insurance, say a whole life policy, you get it and you pay for it for the rest of your life. You might live for 50 years, 60 years, and you've been paying for that same policy for 60 years. But a pre-needs policy, you'll pay for it for one lump sum. You can just do it in one lump sum and own it, or you can do it over 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, depending on how the payments that you want to set up. And after that time period, you actually own it. And it has what they call return of premium in there. So that literally grows your policy or your plan over the amount of the death benefit. And as the time goes on, say you died like 20 years later, that's why it'll be enough money built into that policy to combat inflation.
Okay.
So
Now,
your family would never have to come out of pocket for your funeral if they have a pre-needs plan.
okay. Now, I know my audience, and a lot of times they want to know the pre-needs. What are the price points that goes along with that? Is it 5,000, 10,000? How much typically, how much is it for a pre-needs policy?
I mean, you can go up to, you could go up to at least 25, 24,000 guaranteed issued. And then they do have some that are more than that, but outside of that, we'd have to maybe like directly talk to underwriting or something. But just, this is based on the type of funeral that you want to have. So if you just want to be, cremated and have a service and literally, just do something basic. I mean, you could do a pre-needs policy for, $10,000 or less, depending on your, but the age is the only thing that determines the premium. Okay.
Got you.
It's going to be based on the age. And really, if you have a condition, the condition is what's going to be determined for like when it will pay out. So I know the first caller, Willa, was saying that if you have some type of condition, it might be a 2-year waiting period. A pre-needs policy is similar to that, where if you just answer 2 questions, no, you're going to be guaranteed issued same day.
Wow.
And there's no waiting period. But if you answer yes to 2 questions that are, very general, then you will have a 2-year graded policy. But the difference between a graded policy with a pre-needs and a graded policy with the life insurance policy is that on pre-needs policy, they're going to do the graded amount based on the total amount of the policy. So for instance, if your package is $10,000 and you passed away before 2 years and you had a graded policy for the pre-needs, instead of you just getting the money that you put into it like you would in life insurance, you actually get like 80% of the amount of time that you lived to the 2 years. So let's just say, for instance, if you lived 80% of 2 years, then you'll get an $8,000 benefit versus a $10,000 benefit. So you'll still have enough money to bury you or have the type of service you want. But literally, it's not like, okay, I've been paying $100 for the last 18 months and I'm only getting the $1,800 benefit. So that's the difference between a graded pre-needs policy and a graded life insurance policy. Life insurance,
basically, so basically, it's almost prorated. It's prorated, basically.
It's prorated, yes. But the thing is that the pre-needs policy, because you're basically paying in advance, is graded at a higher rate based on the total amount. And if you had a graded policy for life insurance, it's going to just be based on you getting back the money that you put in on premiums over a certain amount of time in a prorated amount.
Got you. We're going to go in this order right here. We're going to go Toya with a T, Curtis, and then we're going to go to Cap. Toya, you have a question?
Man,
Toya, you there?
I think she's on mute, possibly.
Yeah, she may be. Yeah, she may be on mute. Kurt, talk to me, brother.
Can Can you please explain become your own bank? Explain how that works, because a lot of people are selling that.
Okay. All right. So
everybody mute your phone. We got some background noise going. Somebody line. Everybody mute your line so we don't have that noise. Go ahead, sis. Sorry about that.
Okay. So when the concept of becoming your own bank is when you have an insurance policy that is like an IUL, an Index Universal Life is a good example, where you can fund it up to a certain amount every year. And it's called the max, it's called a 7-pay premium. And that 7-pay premium is like the certain dollar amount that you can put in over the amount of your monthly premium every month that allows you to receive a tax, like a tax shelter. So when you become your own bank, it's like you're funding your insurance policy way faster than it would if it was just growing on its own by you just paying your monthly payments. So if you pay like, just like anything, you pay, $50 a month, maybe you're only going to see like over the course of a year, a small percentage of that. But say if your 7-pay premium is, you can add an extra, I'm just using a hypothetical number, an extra $5,000 a year, then that means you're going to get the little bit of money that you would have grown based on your premium plus the $5,000 that you added in that year that you're not getting taxed on. So if you keep doing that year after year after year, it's like the extra money that you're putting in and the money that it's growing at a certain rate is going to compound. And if you do that over so many years, like you literally have money in there that you didn't have to catch up with, growing it through the insurance company. You're actually kind of putting it there yourself. So since it's your money, you can take it out, but then you'll have the interest and the other monies that comes with the growth rate attached to it. So it really just helps you put your money in a tax sheltering place where you could literally take it out and kind of double it over a certain amount of time, because it's your money. So you don't have to ask for a loan. It doesn't based on your credit. It's your money. And you're almost like how a 401k would be, where they're matching it and then you're putting your portion, but they're just giving you a limit of how much you can put in over a certain amount of time.
So there is great benefits to it.
Yes. I mean, the thing about it is there are certain products where, even annuities, you can literally stack your money up versus putting it in your 401k, especially like if you are like have a lump sum of money to put, maybe like say $10,000, you could start an annuity outside of your job and literally have another source of income when you retire, because you have to wait till you get like 67 for you to not to get the penalty. So you don't want to put it in there and get penalized. So you literally are starting like your own type of retirement plan, because at a certain age you can actually set it up so you'll start getting income from that money that you've been putting into your annuity. So IULs, which are Index Universal Life, and annuities, which are another way that you can roll over money that you may have in a traditional 401k or an IRA to help you to fund your retirement and to really get a paycheck as if you would if you were still working once you leave a job.
That's good. That's good. Curtis, did she answer your question, brother?
Yeah, but I still don't understand, like, where does this initial thing start? Like what policy should you be taking from this onset? You know what I mean? Like, I got how it works, but like, okay, if I wanted to do that, what would be the first step? Maybe I missed that. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, like I said, an IUL, an Index Universal Life policy, is literally the product that you could do that with, or that's one of the products. But here's the thing. Like I said before, an IUL is going to be something that you have to get when you are at your best, or healthiest, to get approved. There's other products out there that are a little bit more complex. And when I mean an IUL, I'm not talking about like a $200,000 one. I mean, like it might be $1 million one that can help you have a higher 7-pay premium, which the bigger your policy amount is, the higher your 7-pay premium, which is the amount of money that you can add to it every year. And then that is going to be grown with the interest that you get on that policy because you're adding more money to it. It's growing at a faster rate versus you just paying the minimum amount every single month. So it's literally, you really need to start with talking with, you need to get a strategy together. You need to really talk about what you're trying to accomplish, what's your goal of doing this. And I'm glad we're on this subject because there's a lot of entrepreneurs probably listening here. And when you from a company, you're not probably saving for your retirement anymore. And if you were with a company, what did you do with your 401k that's probably still sitting there at that company, either losing money because it's tied to the stock market, or you're not even able to access it because you're not over there anymore. It's really still belonging to your company under their brokerage account. So if you take that money that you had in your 401k and roll it over to a annuity as an entrepreneur, you actually have a higher amount of money you can add to that annuity every year. It's like a 25% of your gross income. Because they know that you're not attached to any like group plan or anything like that. So this is just a way that you can still kind of catch up with growing your tax retirement.
Okay. And Leonard said tax free.
Yes. But if you gotta play your cards right, because if you take it out before a certain age, then you will have to pay tax on that. But there are so many different scenarios. So I can't just give you a straight, this is what you have to do. It's really you're trying to accomplish, but normally IUL could do that for you. And then another way that you can really become your own bank is you really need to get into these trusts. If you have a trust, you need to really establish a trust, and you have trustees within your family, then your money is being protected. It's not in your name. I was on another conversation with a person that does trust, and actually he is very good at tax liens. He says he really made a lot of his wealth with buying like tax lien properties and then putting it in the trust and flipping the money and actually taking the money that he gets from the trust and giving a loan to himself.
Wow.
That's how you come. Go through anybody else to get your own money, but you're using that money to like make money and then flip the money.
Listen, you are giving us so much this morning, and
it's too much for 9 o'clock in the morning.
I definitely appreciate it, and I'm gonna tell you something. You know your stuff now. You know your stuff. Before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity right now and give you an opportunity. If somebody want to get in contact with you, there's a lot. And we're going to touch on some of it. We're certainly not going to touch on all of it. But how can someone get in contact with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me, because I am, like I said, a Medicare agent during this time of the year is very busy for me. I would really appreciate it if you could really go on my Linktree and just schedule an appointment. I was going to try to put this in the chat. I don't know how I can do that. Maybe I can text it to you and you can put it for me.
Or you can, or you could go to the chat right here where it says chat at the bottom and type it right there. See, you got one that says mute on the side. It says has different things, and it has a music thing, and below that it says chat. Can you see it?
I don't want to mess. And maybe hold on a second. I don't want to mess anything up.
Okay.
Because on my view, and I'm doing it from my phone, so it might be different.
Might be different. Okay.
But yeah, really, my Linktree is the best way. Let me just. Are you gonna still be on here for a while? I can just drop it, put it in the chat.
That's fine.
Okay, I would do that. But really, Linktree is the best way. You can follow me online on my social media. I do a lot of educational online. You see me on TikTok, Moon Thomas. Usually it's you can follow me. All my handles are moon.i.thomas, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok.
Say that one more time. Moon.i.thomas.
That's how you can find me at on all my social media handles. But that's why I use videos to educate people, and also literally if you needed to call me, my business line is 470-575-3701. So I just want to let y'all know that I definitely have I have all of the resources that y'all need. no matter what stage in your life. I know we're talking about getting things when you're younger, but I told you I traditionally am, working with Medicare age people. And so literally everybody, I've helped everybody at every age to be able to get insured. Now, can I just tell one last thing, Miss? We didn't talk about this.
Absolutely.
Even on the most fixed income, if you cannot afford to do a pre-needs policy. Pre-needs is where you're actually planning your own funeral in advance. But if you still need a form of funeral service planning, you don't get to pick it out in advance. It just gives you like a basic service. But there's a policy for $30 a month that everybody.
Whoa. How much you say?
30.
30.
30.
Okay, go ahead.
$30 a month that can cover a basic funeral, embalming, transportation, all of these things, a service up to 4 hours. It has a concierge service. So there is levels to this thing. Pre-needs is the most, I think that would be the best way to go. But even if you're not able to do that, there's no reason why you couldn't do a funeral service plan. And if you just wanted a cremation and that's it, it's only $15 a month. So there's no reason why anybody should go uninsured, because there's products out there no matter what your situation is.
And a lot of times what it is, people just don't know. And that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why I feel it's so very important to bring you on, so you can educate the people and let them know. And like the old folks say, you know better, you do better.
Yes.
Once you know better, you do better. So we're educated. Hopefully we're educating, they're listening, and hopefully then you're gonna get a lot of calls. I put your number on the screen a minute ago. Right now I want to go to Cap. Cap, are you with us still?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Fine. Thank you for asking. Good morning to my Morning Glow family.
Hey, good morning to you as well. You have a question for Moon? Or
no, sir.
Okay. Leonard?
I'm good. I hope people take advantage of the stuff that she says, for the very simple fact that one thing that is inevitable, you're leaving here. And you're leaving here fast, and a lot of people are. And we've raised a lot of money in communities. When somebody gets shot or something like that, here go to GoFundMe accounts and things of that nature. But especially for those people now, when it seems like when you reach a certain age, you got something, take advantage at least of that last information that she gave you.
Yes, exactly.
That's one thing that I'm definitely going to take advantage of, that product there, for the very simple fact, when you have conditions, and like premium, I've paid an additional $25 a month on my policy simply because I had high blood pressure at an early age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very important that while you're healthy, get these products. They're much cheaper, then they're the best way to help out the next generation. Generational wealth that she mentioned is very important. And if you can do it for less now, why not do it?
Exactly.
For the cost of going out to dinner, you know how much we spend on dinner? Some of y'all go out a lot, not me, but some of you go out a lot. But it's definitely worth the investment.
And I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of times, just don't go to Starbucks for a couple of weeks. Starbucks gonna cost you. Starbucks costs what, about $20 a cup of coffee now, ain't it? They charge about $20 for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Don't
that piece of cake.
Exactly. Willow.
Okay, I was able to put my link in.
Right here.
Got you. Willow, what's on your heart, sis? I know you got another question for us.
You know what, though? All those things she was talking about was great. But, I also heard about an insurance that you're able to, say your kids was going to college, or say you needed just needed to get some extra money. What kind of insurance do they call that?
A loan. I'm
Stop it right here.
Most likely,
you borrow off your insurance.
Well, I ain't got no sense, but go ahead, sis.
So most likely IUL, that's still an index universal life policy. like I said, for me, there's one carrier specifically that I'm able to write for children under 18. So imagine getting your grandchildren an IUL when they're like 1 or 2 or 3, and then they get to keep that price for the rest of their life. And also, by the time they get into college, since you got it so early, there is going to be a significant amount of cash value, and you can actually add to it, like the other gentleman was saying, and you will be able to, you know, maybe I won't say max out, but max out what's called the 7-pay premium. And literally, what if you could put an extra $2,000 or $5,000 or whatever a year away until they get 18? Now you can access that money because it's your money, and you can use it for college, you can use it for a car or whatever, but you're not having to go and get approved for it. Nobody's turning you down for your own money. That's how you really keep your money in your circle.
Wow. If you could, if with everything that you know about insurance now, everything that you know about it Moon now, if you could go back to an 18-year-old Moon, what would you do different?
Oh, what if I was 18? I would literally have, I would have gotten an IUL. I think my whole life I was growing up, my grandmother, she truly believed in having life insurance. She used to always tell me, baby, keep you some life insurance outside of your job. Because literally having a plan, now don't get me wrong, I say get the group plan, because that's going to be the cheapest way for you to get a really large amount of money without having to qualify for it through a group plan at your job. They don't ask you about your medical background. That's automatic. So you should do something called stacking, where you are working, you get the group plan, you max out the amount that you can get, because it's going to be pennies compared to what it really costs. And then the outside policy, that's a permanent policy, because usually those policies in a group plan are term. And term is just like anything else for a certain amount of time. And while you're working there, that's the term. When you leave, you don't really get to keep that. And if you do, they're not going to give it to you at the group rate, and it's probably going to be a lot more expensive. So technically you could stack. You get your, so this is me talking to my 18-year-old self. You get you a job or whatever you have, get the life insurance at the highest amount that you can get through your job. Because if you're still working and something happens to you, they're going to pay that out. Okay, you get that. And you get it, if you had kids, get it on your kids too, and your spouse. I don't know why people work at a job and they don't even cover their family.
Yeah.
It's only like $20, $15 out your paycheck. You're doing it yourself. So there you go with that policy. Then on top of that, get you a permanent policy, an IUL, Indexed Universal Life, if you qualify. If you can't qualify because of health or some other reason, then whole life. Whole life is the same concept, except it doesn't necessarily come with the living benefits, but it does protect you for that price for the rest of your life. So that one put in place no matter what happens, okay? And if you work at that job or you don't, you still have insurance in place. And then the last thing I would say is, like that gentleman said, you may want to think about getting long-term care earlier in life, not like in your 50s, but maybe in your 30s or your 40s, believe it or not. And then everybody has a 50-50 chance of dying in an accident. So within your insurance policies, you can even put an accidental rider so that if you died with an accident, your policy would be bigger than your face value based on that. So sometimes it's double the amount or an extra, you know, so many thousands of dollars. So if you had an accident, instead of maybe like $100,000 policy, it may be like a $200,000 payout because of the way you die. So don't sleep on those little riders or any additional things that you can have there. And then, like I said, if you can have a pre-needs policy and have your funeral paid for, that means you got your funeral paid for. You have life insurance no matter if you work at that job, and then you have additional life insurance through the group plan while you're working, so that you get paid on all those things. Your family would come up. That is how, like I said, communities are leaving generational wealth. That's how they're leaving millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, not just a $20,000 just to bury someone.
Exactly. Wow. Stanley, anything on your heart, brother? Stanley, you there?
No, just some good information, man. I appreciate Moon for coming on this morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I will be in contact with her next week.
Thank you. Yes.
Good deal.
And I want to say, outside of life insurance, Medicare open enrollment is coming up on October the 15th.
Tell us about it.
If you're a military vet, there are plans out there that can actually help you. You may not realize you're not getting all the benefits that you deserve, and you have put your life on the line for your country. So you should be able to get everything you are entitled to. And there's a lot of plans that you may not be aware of, and you're actually paying through your Social Security for, and you're not even accessing the benefits. So I can help you even save some money on what you're paying for through your Social Security, and get, if you are single, that could be almost $1,800 a year that you could save by just getting a different plan. If you're married and your spouse is entitled to those same veteran benefits, that's almost $3,600 a year that you could save. And that's just on your medical costs.
Wow.
That's just, that's real.
Exactly. TikTok asked a question, and I missed it earlier, so I don't know exactly what it's pertaining to. But it says, does it have a penalty charge if used early, like a 401k? I think they're talking about the IUL.
No, not necessarily a penalty, because an IUL doesn't have anything to do with your age when you want to take money out of it. If you have cash value built up in there, that's just your money that's there to access. Now, an annuity form of a retirement type of insurance product, and that will have a penalty if you take it out before 67. So technically, depending on what type of product, there may or may not be a penalty, but there are tax shelters of the limits that you put in up to a certain amount.
Okay. What are some of the biggest potholes, if you will, or pitfalls of a person run into when obtaining insurance? What are some of the things that a lot of people just blindly go into it, not knowing that had I just done this, or had I done that, or had I known this, I would not be in this situation right now?
I think just looking at it based on price, you have to look at the value and the product. Because if you just say, oh, I'm gonna get this because it's cheaper, but then say it's a term policy, just hypothetically, term, you can get a bigger amount for usually less money, right? However, say you outlive that term and you don't have what's called a retirement of premium rider on there, then literally you could outlive the term, and then you're at a later age in life and don't have life insurance now because that term product has expired. So you could have maybe paid just a few more dollars and it got at least whole life, and then you'll be locked in at that rate indefinitely.
Wow. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? I know you got one more question on your heart. What is it, brother? Talk to me, Leonard. What you got?
No, I'm glad she mentioned the veterans plans, because I just reviewed a lot of that stuff, which is the reason why I went to the military in the first place, is to take advantage of those things later. And it's amazing that the new products and things that they offer now, if you were a service member, I think when we're active, we were under SCGLI. Now they got Veterans Group Life, which you get better discounts as well. But I like what she says. It's a strategy. And she went over a lot of different strategies, because I'm at that point now where I'm almost outlived the term. So now I'm trying to work on the best price for a conversion again. Because like I said, I got a cheap rate for term, but guess what? I lived.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I got to reinvest a different way to take care of myself for the rest of my life, you know?
And like I'm saying, I put my link in the chat. When you go to the link tree, the first link on my link tree is my schedule. You can just schedule an appointment and we'll have a conversation about that. Also, if you go down, there is a link separately on my link tree that if you're just interested in that $30 a month funeral service plan, you can click that link and you can sign yourself up. You don't even have to talk to me. It's just $30 or $15 a month. And you it just comes out on the day that you want, that the day that you make that payment, that's going to be the day every month that it will come out of your credit card. I mean, literally, you can't get any better than that. But if you really need a whole consultation and you want me to really like come up with a plan for you, please schedule me. My phone number is there, but literally
Yes.
I do events. I do a lot of community service. I am, I really take my time with people. So I really want to be, engaged when I do have a certain time with someone. So I'm usually not going to be answering the phone while I'm talking to somebody else.
Yes, exactly. Now, y'all know I got to be a clown at some point in time. I got to be a clown. So I got to ask you this question.
Yes.
Now, you say it's $30 a month, right?
Yes.
Now, can I spread my $30 a month out over the year?
What?
Can I spread my $30 a month? Could I spread it out over the year? So
No,
I
it's
ain't got to.
$30 a month because technically over the year, that's only like what, $300 and some odd dollars for the year. I mean, literally, it is I want to say, and I'll just tell you how that $30 a month product came about. The team I'm on, we actually partnered with a nonprofit. So that $30 a month is really not the typical price. But because of the relationship that we have with that carrier and also the community service and the demographic of people that I want to reach, we were able to negotiate that price so that we would give everyone the opportunity of having dignity in their funeral. And then literally, because it's something that really is not based on age, it's not based on conditions or anything like that. Now, if you have a terminal illness, don't sign up for that $30 one. Literally, you need to talk to me about a pre-needs because that condition, like if you know something's wrong with you, that's not the right product for you. And the only reason why I'm saying you could sign yourself up is that if you really don't have anything going on and you just need an extra level of protection and you don't have even a pre-needs plan. But if you have something seriously going on with you, let's have a consultation first. But just to have that level of protection, anybody, like any age from 0 all the way up to 100, doesn't matter how old you are, it's still going to be $30 a month. If you want a full service and everything that comes with it, if you click my link on there, it will tell you what's included with that. And if you just want a basic cremation, it's only $15 a month. You can get it for your whole family. You can get it for your auntie, your grandma. And this is the thing I love about it. The only thing that determines the effectiveness of it, because it's going to be guaranteed issue. There's no decline. But the effectiveness is if you're under 65, it's only a 30-day waiting period. And if you're over 66, it would be a 90-day waiting period. So you can literally have your funeral covered for about a $10,000 value, basic service. And if you're under 65, if you died in 31 days, it would pay out.
Wow.
If you passed away in 91 days, it would.
So I'm gonna tell you something. If you're over 65, you're 66, you gotta just hold on for 91 days. Just hold on, bro. Hold on. Don't let it go. Hold on now.
Right. And the thing that I love about it also has a concierge service. That means that by having that product, it's called the humanitarian plan. Because I said it's really based on a nonprofit charity that we actually partnered with at a certain time. And literally, the one thing I love about it is because planning a funeral, nobody knows how to do that, and it's stressful. And because of the way that they're trying to service that demographic of people that need this, they literally have one number that you call when an occurrence happens for a loss, and literally the concierge service helps to get everything set up for you. You just pay $15 or $30 a month, and when you pass away, you just call this one number and they help put everything together for you. And literally they even negotiate with the funeral homes and everything. You don't pick out your funeral home. This is not something, like I said, if you want to be in more control of what you get and all this other stuff, you need to get a pre-needs policy. But a humanitarian plan, this is more for a fixed income or someone that is really wanting a basic service. That more like, these are just the basic things that are included, and you get that, and then the concierge service helps your family member to set that up for you. It's amazing.
That's good. But like I said, when you're going through that moment and your emotions are real high, and you're suffering and you're grieving, you don't want certain things you don't want to have to deal with at that time. And this right here would negate you having to deal with those issues, especially when you're grieving. You're grieving. A lot of times, I hate to say it like this, but a lot of funeral homes take advantage of people while they are grieving. They really do.
I partner with a lot of funeral homes, so I'm not going to talk about them.
Uh,
but honestly, that is the case in some cases. That can be true. But literally, that's the other part. If you go in there with your stuff together, how can they take advantage of you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you show them a pre-needs policy, they got to go by what's in the contract. And honor that price. You're not going to pay any more, any less. If you have the funeral service plan, the concierge is the one that's negotiating with them. So you stay out of it.
Yes.
And then
exactly.
if you have your life insurance, then that's just something that is really like the icing on the cake. Now, if you don't have a pre-needs policy or a funeral service plan, I suggest maybe just taking out a smaller life insurance policy if you had to, or if you have a small life insurance policy. That's the one that you present to the funeral home, and maybe not the bigger one. Then you can just maybe use that. But I think that if
so you're saying you're gonna cuff the big one, cuff that one.
Yeah.
Hold on. And show them, okay, I see it.
Right? You go in the car dealership, you say, hey, I'm approved for it. You're gonna try to get the biggest car out there, right?
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna tell you something, sis. This has been absolutely amazing. I hope you had half as much fun as I had, because I had an amazing time.
Yeah. I want to come back. I mean, I'll be back on here if you want me to.
Yeah, you can. You're always welcome. Always welcome. But what I want you to do right now, I want you to take an opportunity, because like I said, when we first started talking, a lot of time people pay for what they want and beg for what they need. Make sure that you make them understand. Take a moment, make sure you make them understand how important this is. And so they can go out there and do the things and get in contact with you, so you can help and assist them in doing the things that they need to do. Because unfortunately, the reality of the situation, we all are going to have that day.
Yeah.
That day is coming. And when everybody is born, there's one thing that's guaranteed.
Right.
We're going to leave. Go ahead, sis.
So true. I would just say, literally take the time to look at where you are and where you want your family to be if something happened to you in an untimely manner. I think we take out like the personal touch in this, and we don't look at it from like someone else's point of view. If your spouse or loved one was grieving and they actually had to take up the burdens of paying the bills by themselves, or planning a funeral with limited amount of money, or you have small children and they literally have the rest of their life to grow up without a parent. I mean, just look at it from what kind of condition would you want to leave your family in if something happened to you today? Because it doesn't mean tomorrow. I mean, we don't want it to be today, but nobody knows the future. So my thing is, these resources that I'm sharing and these particular, products that are being customized to help people that are in all situations, take the time today to schedule the appointment. Take the time today to go visit those links, go do your research. Even if it's not with me, someone that you trust and that that is going to steer you in the right way, make sure take the time to start planning now, because literally you don't want your family to be in the middle of the process and have it out. That's the main reason for having life insurance and health insurance, because getting it or thinking about it after you need it is too late.
Exactly. Willow.
Yeah, Raheem.
Willow, I if I'm not mistaken, you have to take off early today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is what we're gonna do now. How much more time do we have with you?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. So what we're gonna do right now, we got it's 42 right now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to Leonard and let him say the part about the broadcast, and then we're gonna come to you and we're gonna let you pray us out. We're gonna let you pray us out before you have to go, and then we'll have a little conversation after that. Is that okay?
That's good.
Okay. Leonard, what's going on at 3:00 today, sir?
If you did not get a chance to hear this show in its entirety, log on to www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3:00 Eastern today.
Good deal. Well,
Raheem, come on, Raheem, let's go.
I just want to know, are you ready?
Raheem, I am ready. I'm ready to receive God's word.
Now hold on.
Come on, Raheem.
Now you know what the day is now.
Go.
Hold on now, Willow. Now you say you ready to go, but I want the day is Friday now. Now this prayer here gotta last us all the way up until Monday, till we come back on Monday. Now you ready for that?
I'm ready, Raheem. I am so ready. Let's go, Raheem.
Okay, well, Willa, I ain't got one more thing to say to you. I got one more thing to say. You know what that is? Let's go.
Amen, amen. Come on, y'all, go with me. Go with me to the throne of grace this morning. Let's hold hands and bow our heads down with humble hearts. Father, we thank you so much for waking us up, giving us another chance and opportunity to get it right with you. But Father, we know that miracles still exist today because of you, oh Lord. And Father, we thank you for the miracle. Father, we're praying this morning for the Jennifer family. But somehow, some reason, you called your loan back the next day when after she laid down. But Father, we know that you don't make mistakes. We trust and we honor you, oh Lord. We give you the glory and we give you the praise. But you said it in your word that you would not have us to be ignorant. You said to lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge you, and you will direct our path. So, Father, we're asking you right now, in the name of Jesus, to lead us, guide us, direct us, show us your ways, and line us up with your will. Tear back those things that keeping us and that we're struggling with in order to get closer to you, Lord. Father, we're asking you, oh Lord, that you continue to be there to comfort us and give us the peace that we need, oh Lord. Father, we're reaching for you, Lord, and we're praying. We're sitting backwards. We're listening and waiting on your word. We thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all the things that you do in our lives. Sometimes we take it for granted. Sometimes we take each other for granted, but your word teaches us how to love one another, how to forgive one another, how to inspire and encourage one another. Thank you, Jesus. Show us, oh Lord, by our faith, Lord, how we curse the root of those things that are causing us to slip by you, Lord. Father, we thank you. Thank you. We ask you, Lord, for the covering for our children. We, Lord, they go off to school, they go to the churches, to the parks, football games. Father, we're asking you to allow the angels to be encamped around them, to protect them as we go through this evil and wicked world. We, Lord, we thank you. Thank you for each and every last one that's on this line. Whatever is on their heart, Father, I believe that you already know, because your word tells you that you see the heart of men. So, Father, whatever it is that's not of you, Lord, I'm asking you, Lord, to take it away. Thank you. Thank you for the morning glow, Lord. Thank you for Raheem, his obedience to the vision that you had for his life. Thank you for his family. We give honor, we give praise to you and your Christ, and your Son, Christ Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Willa.
Wow. And we can actually end right now, but we got a few more minutes before we get out of here. And so, sis, what's on your heart?
I don't know. I just thought that was amazing that she prayed that prayer. And I just believe that this group, you know, I just met you a few days ago, and I just feel like I've been knowing you forever.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that is important for people to know, that you really need to be connected with people who have your best interest in mind. I said it a few days ago myself. I went to a women's retreat this weekend, and I said, I am no longer in the insurance business. I am in the blessing
Yes.
business. Okay. And so really insurance is just the avenue that God's really using me to meet the people that I'm supposed to be meeting on this journey. But literally the blessing is in the education and really being present and engaged with the people who need me the most. And I really believe that there are so many people out there who need everything that I have to offer, but they just haven't met me yet. So I really thank you for affording me the opportunity to meet some people that I can actually, really help on this journey, because this is a ministry for me as well. It's a different type of ministry, but literally a ministry because it's not about the money or, what I'm going to get from it. It's literally every day God is sending me somebody I'm supposed to be helping.
Praise God. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Absolutely. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Tacos, because I'm going to have tacos today. And I've been waiting on tacos for a couple of days.
Okay, well,
so
I'm glad you
finally try to sneak that in the Willis prayer, but you had already.
We gonna tell him pray for tacos. Say a prayer for them tacos. I love me some tacos. I loves me some tacos now.
I was really right.
I want to put some on my daughter, man. She's watching this, man, and my mom used to watch. I ain't seen my mom come in today, but my daughter, she's definitely watching, and she put something on here, man, and she try to make my eyes sweat earlier, because we was talking about responsibilities and how, and I was talking about how people watch you and they see you in what you do, and I was talking about my grandson. We was on here a few days ago. And I told the story early in the broadcast. We was on here a few days ago, and we had a little situation that happened, and I didn't know they had virtual learning that day, and it got a little heated. But I stayed the path. I didn't get all beside myself, hooping and hollering and all that stuff. Because you have to be mindful of who may be watching you, and come to find out, my grandson was watching that day, and we got finished, we got done, and I went away from the broadcast, and my phone rang, and he called me People. I said, People, are you okay? I said, yeah, man, how you doing? I'm always happy when I hear from him. I'm gonna be happy every time I hear from him. I could be 100 years from now, and when my grandkids call, I'm happy, because like I say, they're taking the time to talk to old fella like me. So he said, you okay? I said, yeah. And then we had a little conversation. He told me about the broadcast, and I use that as a teachable moment, that always stay in control of you, because you never know who's watching you. And I said, and I also said that my grandkids, I have 4 beautiful daughters, and I made some mistakes in being a father in their growing up process, and I know it, and I apologize wholeheartedly. I do, but I think that grandkids are God's opportunity to right the wrongs that you did the first time. And this is what, and then when I told a long story to get right here. This is what my daughter put on the screen here. And if you don't mind, sis, will you read that for me?
Now, I can hardly read that, but it says, you do a great job with being a grandfather. All parents make mistakes, because there is no rule book with parenting. You have done great at making your second chance with them great. Oh, I love it. Isn't that something?
Man, let's see.
But even look at that. Isn't that they gave you the grace, and then God gave you the second chance. But even though you made mistakes, you was already forgiven. I don't know, you didn't know that, but he was already forgiven anyway. But if you just needed them to say that, she did. And I really appreciate her for being transparent, and for you to owning up to that.
Yep, because I was like, man, I'm sitting here doing this broadcast, man. She's trying to make my eyes sweat, man. I'm gonna look like a doggone fool.
And look, I'm like, what?
And I can see you, Moon. You're like, what kind of show did I come on here?
Right. Like, what is this?
What is this mess?
But this is an excellent show to be on because literally, I mean, nobody is perfect and everybody's here because it's something on here that they needed to get today. And that message in itself might have been it right there, what you just said, because there's somebody struggling with a relationship of any kind, grandparent, parent, child, spouse, everything. So I love that you are really being 100% yourself on the show and you're still incorporating your beliefs and your faith in God. So I'll be on here any day because that's exactly the kind of people I need to be around.
Good deal. Yeah. Hey, to God be the glory. To God be the glory, man. It's all him. He did this. You know, like I said, I'm just honored that he selected me. He could have picked anybody he wanted to, selected me to be one of the ones that's actually spearheading and moving it forward. But he got the steering wheel. He definitely got the steering wheel. Stanley, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart? Then don't you say tacos.
Well, before he comes in, I just want to thank Stanley for introducing me to you because I literally, as soon as I started talking to him, he's like, "Oh, you need to talk to my friend. He's coming over here right now." Like, okay. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm walking into.
Exactly. Stanley, good brother. That's a good brother right there. I tell anybody, man, every day, twice on Sunday. Stanley, he's a good brother. Don't tell him I said that, though. Don't tell him I said that. But that's a good brother. Stanley, you still with us?
Yeah, man, I'm here trying to do something with this track.
Oh, okay.
What was the question?
No, just saying anything on your heart. We're about to get out of here, man. I just want to make sure, everything is good with you, man. Anything on your heart. And she said thank you for the introduction that you did.
Oh, she's welcome. And I've got one of my partners here with me now. I'm going to give him her number so he can call her to talk about the insurance.
There you go.
So we just, like I said, once again, we just thank you for the information, man. That's what we got to do.
Yes.
We have to continue to encourage each other and share information and educate each other.
Exactly.
Because a lot of folks on this call just be listening. A lot of them had a lot of questions about insurance.
Exactly.
Some things they thought they understood, but they didn't. So thank you, Miss Moon. We appreciate you very much.
Exactly.
You're welcome. And don't just listen, do your research, execute.
And she did a great job too.
Oh, you're welcome.
She did a great job too.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she did a great job, man.
Hey, Ross.
Yes, sir.
That's that boost box. That's that boost box in Houston, Germany.
Yes.
Oh Lord. I got you.
If you know, right? If you know, you know.
Now, Leonard, you've been to Germany too, ain't you? Leonard, didn't you go to Germany while you was on your tour?
Sir.
Oh Lord, got 3 of them.
Started not to come back.
Those are my people. Those are my people.
Where were you at, Leonard?
I was at Craigsville Army Depot, 558 MP Company, 59th Battalion.
Oh, wow.
What's that close to?
We go to Vogel. We were the closest installment, I think, was Vogelway, Kaiserslautern. And I worked there for a little while.
K-Town.
K-Town, right.
That's amazing.
Don't nobody know about no K-Town, man. Y'all, man.
If you were there, you know.
Yeah,
if you know, you know, right?
That sound like the country to me. That sound like the country to me. I'm just gonna tell you, it sound like the country to me. That sound like Sewanee or something like that.
No, it's very nice actually.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, we're about to get out of here. Anybody else have anything else they want to say before we get out of here? We're about to close it for today. It's been a great broadcast. And again, sis, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate you. In your closing, what would you like to say in your closing?
Just execute. I mean, I think we sit on some information way too long and then it just doesn't become a priority. And then we find ourselves in a situation where we should have, done something about it sooner. So, do your research and then execute.
Absolutely.
And if you need help in between that, contact me.
Good deal. Good deal. Leonard, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, sir.
Tacos, and tacos.
And tacos.
And tacos. Stanley, I know you're busy over there, brother. Anything you want to say before we get out of here? I think that means no. Okay. Well,
once again, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mo.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, and with that being said, it's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK, your media group and associates, and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 9:57. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you, hold on, let me stop this. Let me stop that music. Okay, good. We're going to start over. I want to thank everybody for joining us. More than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 9:58. And I want you to, two things I want you to do before we leave. I want you to do me two favors before we get out of here. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light from the Morning Glow. Take it out there until this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great weekend. Take care of each other, and please, please, please be blessed. Give somebody some love and truth. They would appreciate it, and I'm sure that you will as well. Have a great weekend. Talk to you Monday morning if God says the same. Love you.